Stay put. Don't fall. Don't fall at all. Don't fall on Paul. Portly Paul. Portentous Paul. Welcome to the live chat. Oh yeah, that's right. I have to do live chat instead of... Okay, there we go. I always have to remember to do that. YouTube's trying to like fight the trolls, but... Oh, that's so cool. Good morning. What's good? Another day, another dollar, another war, another tower goes up where the homeless made their homes. Pale, the best movie reviewer on the net. That's right. Oh yeah, you're right. You got a point. You got a point. Good afternoon. It's 6:15 in the morning here. It's not even really afternoon. Have you seen the electric cars that China is producing? It's so mind-blowing how far behind America is in every way. I have not, actually. Not up to date. But I presume that they're pretty based in comparison to ours. Yeah. I've got, I just bought my first electric car. I've never even had a hybrid, so it's like my first eco-drive car, and I'm fucking in love with it. Like I've always been a car guy, and of course, as a car guy, you dream about having a car that's got like balls, not actual like ball, like not truck nuts on the back, but like when you put your foot in it, it goes, and I never would have thought of an electric vehicle as that, but I drive a 400 horsepower SUV that does 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds and change in sport mode. It's fucking insane. Like I've never driven anything like it. I get on the freeway and I push a button and it drives itself. I don't even have to put my hands on the fucking freeway or on the wheel. I know that's like not new, but to me that shit is like, what? Excuse me? What? Sure, how dare you choose Nirvana over the Deftones that will forever stick in my craw? Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I like both. I like the Deftones and I like Nirvana, but yeah, if I had to get rid of one, it'd probably have to be the Deftones. Here we sit on you, whether or not. Uh, you prefer NWA or Wu-Tang? Wu-Tang. That's how you eat the hamburger the wrong way. You mess with Paul's ego when he has mononucleosis, okay? When Paul has mononucleosis, you might want to leave him alone. You a Boots Riley fan? I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I've heard some Boots Riley. Wish there was some kind of good job here in West Michigan. Sticking doing gig work fucking sucks balls. Yeah. I gotta tell you, man, you gotta get out of that fucking area, dude. Like, Michigan is not like what I would call like the land of opportunity. You gotta get out of that shithole. So many people are just stewing in a nasty crockpot shithole. And, I'm a firm believer in people's ability to just pick up stakes and go if they're willing to make some sacrifices. I get frustrated with people sometimes. Like there's a guy that comes on my Discord named The Dude. I love him to death. He's great. East Texas guy. Hit it off with him immediately, but he'll get in these dark moods where he's like, man, I ain't got nothing going on in my life. We'll talk to Duder. We'll be like, Duder, you need to get out of Texas. You need to get out of East Texas. At the very least, move you to Austin or something where there's some people and stuff to do and culture. Because he's like, and I feel like there's a lot of these people, if you looked at Duder and just listened to him, right, you would think that he was just a typical Republican, right-wing, shitbird Texan, right? You'd just probably write him off as a good old boy and leave it at that. But this dude's like a fucking rose in the desert, bro. He's a leftist. He's based as fuck. He's funny. He's smart in a way that a lot of people probably that he's around aren't. And, it just kills me to see a dude like that. You know? Talking about how deeply, deeply unhappy he is with where he's living. But it's also all he really knows. And so I think that, he's trepidatious to leave it behind, even though I think doing that would make him so much fucking happier. I've lived in Redding and Chico. I've tried to make it in California multiple times before. It's basically impossible for entry-level people. I just keep ending up homeless. Yeah, man, I don't want to give the same fucking talk 3 days in a row, but, and then this is not a denigration to you, but California is a state of hustlers and entrepreneurs, and if you're not willing to work a fucking triple hustle, you're not going to make it here. You're not going to make it. If you just thought you were going to come to Chico, get a job, and be cool, that's not how it works in California. Everybody I know that has come to California as a transplant that wasn't rich before has at least 2 side hustles, right? I don't know anybody that has come from another state here that doesn't have a side hustle or 2. Like, you gotta hustle, you gotta grind, you basically have to tell yourself failure's not an option. Do you mean West Texas? East Texas is where the people are at. No, East Texas, he's in East Texas in a tiny little town right up against Louisiana in the swamp. I've never climbed Shasta, no. Oh, that area. Yeah, unfortunately, right? And like I said, he's just like a rose in the swamp over there. He's such a special dude. And, he clearly would just flourish in a place that would let him. But he doesn't know how to leave that Texas shit behind. those things, right? Hey, bro, good morning to the coolest Bigfoot I've met. Good morning. Thanks, I guess. You need the supplies to hustle with first? No, not really. So that's the thing about being a hustler is like there are people that think they're hustlers in their mind, but they're really just overplanners, right? They go like, ooh, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go to Cali and I'm gonna be a hustler. But first I gotta stack my chips here and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And it's like those I gotta do this before guys hardly ever come here. Like I've known people that out of this state that have been talking about like, dude, yeah, I'm gonna get my shit together, move to California. They've been talking about it for fucking 5 years more. You know, still smoke Mary Jane, Paulie? Yes, I do. Then what are you gonna hustle? Well, I'm a Californian, so I have a main job, right? So my job is I'm a podcaster. I've been doing that for 15 years. And within that job, I have multiple side hustles. So we have a merch hustle, we have a meetup hustle, we have a DVD hustle. We are not just like doing one thing and making our money and just chilling here in California. I have multiple side hustles, right? So I will tell you that it's a little easier for me because I was born and raised in California. So I got all kinds of family here. That's a safety net, right? So I can't change the geographic location of my birth, and nor would I. But that being said, most people, right, that are here in this state are not from this state originally. So most of the people that live here are transplants from other states, and the people that live here for a long time and become Californians and settle here are 100% hustlers, every last one of them. And if you're not a hustler, if you're just a, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do and get by, you probably ought to be in the Midwest. You ought to probably be in like Indiana or Wisconsin or Kansas or one of those places. Small population, little influx in and out. Get you just a normal job and be there. There's nothing wrong with that. But, if you want the privilege of living in California, you have to hustle. That's the way it is. You are very good on this platform. Keep it up. Thanks, Mwanji. Where are you from, Mwanji? That's a cool name. I'm going to guess West Africa, but I'm probably going to be right. Mwanji Ilunga sounds to me like West African, so I'm going to guess Cote d'Ivoire or Guinea or Ghana, Zambia. Well, not West Africa, I guess, huh? Or is that West Africa? Is Zambia West Africa? I don't think it is. I think it's like Central Africa. Cool. Very nice to meet you. I'm from California. Sorry, baby. I think that might be the last smoke out here. I really apologize. Zambia in Southern Africa. Very cool. From Denmark. Very cool. From Denmark as well. We are pricks. Are you really, though? I don't think you are. You might be little prickle bushes, but I think you're soft on the inside. You little Danes. You smoke the good Cali weed. Is the Pope shit in the woods? What do you think? I want you to just like look at me and ask yourself, does this man smoke copious marijuana? And I think the answer will come to you. Oh man, I slept so hard last night. I crashed. I was like out, and then I woke up and I thought it was just like a pee wake up. Got up and peed, and then I was like, saw the sun and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, it's like 6 a.m. It's like, whoa. What's the best strain you have had there? So I'm kind of an old school guy. Smoking before strains were a thing, really. I mean, back in my day, we used to get like Maui Wowie or White Widow every once in a while, but most of the time you just kind of got what your dealer had. Nowadays, I smoke Blue Dream, which is a really old strain. It's a sativa strain. I guess that would be my favorite strain.
It's a bitch to find, too.
Well, it's because it's been hybridized out of existence almost. Yeah. The original Blue Dream strain has been mixed and matched so many times, cross-pollinated, that it almost doesn't exist.
Well, like, it's available as a hybrid and as a non-hybrid, basically.
Yeah. Cali knows how to smoke weed. Ohio knows how to grow it. Buddy, you know what? I'm not gonna burst your bubble. It's cool. Everybody wants their state to like be the best, you know.
Maybe they're good at hydroponics or something.
No. Yeah, no. That's a silly thing that you just said. But that's okay. I'm sick of trying to hustle, and I'm no longer afraid to die. Okay, buddy. I mean, be careful. Paul, your hair is majestic. Thank you. So much glazing today. I'm being glazed left and right.
Well, it came back to you because you did it yesterday.
Well, that's right. I do Glaze Mondays on my Discord where I say very nice things to everybody in an attempt to brighten their day a little bit. In Europe, the best weed is from Germany. That makes sense to me. Very agrarian place, and I feel like that the climate would probably be pretty good for growing cannabis.
And they're so obsessed with hops already.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not super different to like be picky about hops and
you're probably
experimental
right.
About weed. Like you gotta probably do the same. It's the same like passion probably or adjacent passion of like being all beer connoisseur-y and
yeah. It's just like my understanding is from people that are like weed connoisseurs. I don't really consider myself to be that, although I guess I probably would be one. Is that California is like no other place on earth. The weed industry in California is like 10 years ahead of every other state. And the capability of California to grow weed is probably higher than any other legal state right now. I could imagine like if some of those like Midwest kind of breadbasket states went legal and started to really heavily grow, they might be able to like compete with the volume of weed grown here in California, but they still would have a hard time competing with the variety. That comes with years and years and years and years of a black market, gray market, and now open market cannabis. So, you know. Weed helps my creativity. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will say that. I don't know if I say that, but a lot of people will say that. What's the tax on weed? I don't know exactly off the top of my head. It's pretty fucking high, as you might imagine. Sin taxes usually are. And then, in California, you can extrapolate out from there. We tend to tax a little higher than other places because there's more infrastructure to support, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Paul, you're awesome. Thank you. Glaze me. Let's see. Indiana and Georgia will be among the very last states to legalize weed. I bet. My bet's on Texas. Texas is so bass backwards. I get mine from a dispensary. It's not that expensive. Cool. Yeah, it's really not that bad. Mm. You own a firearm. So I have a policy. Um, I'm not into gun culture. And I also feel like if you're going to arm yourself for self defense, so let's say hypothetically that I do have a gun, um, why would I tell anybody that? You know? So yeah, I don't really talk about the weapons that I own or don't own out of just out of a desire to not be part of like gun culture. You know, tell people you hate guns. I no, I don't do that. I don't do that. There was a salty sailor and he lived in Fresno town. And there were a bunch of plebs and their stupidity abounds. No one dared to say he was fat, no one dared to make a slip because of that salty sailor with the big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip. Remember that video when the manatee was waving his gun on cam? Yeah, and he had his finger on the trigger. Like an idiot. He's like, oh, what's told my grandma such a long time. He's fucking waving his gun around. He's got his children and his wife in his house. He's got his finger all through the trigger guard. No discipline. Just a fucking idiot, bro. Where's your hair so light? My hair is very strange. It is a dark colored hair when it's in normal light, but when the sun hits it, it just kind of like all the reds and blondes come out of it. That's why. See, watch this. If I come out of the sun, it's darker. When I get in the sun, you see all the red and the highlights and shit. It's just the way my hair is. What's a Geistmeister? Ghost Master? Is that what it is? Do you have hair on your knuckles? Yeah, a little bit. But it's all like the rest of the hair on my body is very blonde and wispy. Gandorf, the Golden Locks, Geistmeister. Dude, you're coming up with like a whole ass fucking title for me, and I'm digging it. Hair's wild. I didn't even recognize you. Oh. Your toe knuckles? Yeah, I got little sprigs of hair. Your toe knuckles. I don't know, man. Good morning, Mr. Pranob, sir. How goes life in Pranobland? What's new? Not a whole lot. I mean, I got a new watch yesterday. I know people don't give a shit about my watch collection, but that's my new chronograph. It's a stern glass chronograph. My favorite watch so far. This is the type of watch that I fell in love with first, and then I kind of got colorful and strange with it. But this is my home base. This is a super elegant German Bauhaus watch. This is a chronograph. So it's got two subdials meant for timing things. Your fingers are thick, bro. Yeah, yeah. I'm a pretty big guy. I've got big hands. They're not the biggest hands, but they're thick. Stranglers is what I've got. Got a couple of stranglers. That stirring glass novice is on my list of things to buy. Cool, man. Yeah, they just released these. You might want to look at these. These are Mecha Quartz. And, yeah, their chronographs are just fucking breathtakingly beautiful. I've got 3 versions of the chronograph, and 2 of them I really like. This one, I ended up getting this one, and I might end up getting the other version of this watch as well. That'll be down the road, though. I've got enough watches for this year, so we're gonna wait until next year to get a watch. But I had to get this watch. It was just like as soon as I saw it, they released it just a few days ago. Honestly, they came out I think a couple weeks ago, and as soon as I saw it, my heart stopped for a couple of seconds. I was like, I was like, okay, all right, I gotta get that. Yeah, you keep your watch boxes and your papers. I get papers for my watches, like authenticity, serial number, all that. And you keep that filed away. Not that it is going to mean anything. I highly doubt Stern Glass watches are ever going to be collectible in terms of like gaining value over time, becoming collector's items and stuff. I highly doubt that. It's possible, but I don't buy watches to, um, you know what I mean? I don't buy watches as an investment. I buy watches because I like to wear them and I think they look cool and I love the mechanism. Did you get a solar watch? I've seen them. They're pretty neat. There's not one. I haven't seen one that really tickles my fancy yet, but I'm not opposed to them. Early stream. Yeah, every stream is an early stream lately. Good morning. Good morning. What do you think of the Las Vegas alien crash? Are you talking about Roswell or whatever? What happened? Do you go to any local shows where you live? Is there a good music scene where you are? There's actually a half-ass decent music and art scene in Fresno. Mm. There's a district centered around an old historical theater called the Tower Theater. And that district is called the Tower District. And that's kind of like the poly kinky art district. Lots of little coffee shops, bars, lounges, art rooms. They do a thing called Art Hop every year. It's kind of neat. That being said, I'm not real into it. So I want a Zen. I'm very, very jealous that you have a Zen. Zen is one of my favorite watchmakers, and I would love to own one day, but they're a little more expensive than I want to spend on a watch. Like I think the Zen that I really want is the Captain Cook, and it runs like over $1,000, like $1,300 or something. Favorite actor named Paul Giamatti. David, the channel is not monetized for donations. Yeah, I appreciate the sentiment, but I make enough money off of my fans and stuff. I do this for fun, and it's free. It's free. Okay. All you have to do if you wanna, help me out or whatever is give it a like or something, subscribe, make a good comment down there, But yeah, you don't gotta donate money to me. Like I said, I make enough money doing this. Not everything's gotta be about dough. There's so many people, new people in here lately. Yeah, a lot of new people, right? A lot of new blood. It's kind of neat, right? I clicked the bell too. Ding! You can spend it on a phone. You can spend it on a watch. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that like watches have to be like a super expensive hobby, but the other hobby that I was considering for a couple of years getting into before I decided to collect watches instead was Warhammer. I was going to get into Warhammer 40K, buying, painting the minis, maybe playing the game, building an army, etc. And I priced that out, and I own 5 really nice micro brand watches, all of them like high quality stainless steel, mechanical, etc. I own 5 watches now in that category, and I have yet to spend anywhere near what I would have spent just getting started on the Warhammer hobby. In order to get really started on Warhammer, you need a wet palette, you need your brushes, you need all these fucking expensive model paints. You need to decide what Warhammer army you want to buy. You need to buy a fucking combat patrol, paint it up, go back, get another one, paint it up, go back, get some individual models, paint them up, get more paints. Uh, all in all, I would have spent about $3,000 getting into that hobby, and I have not spent $3,000 on watches. So, oof. I want that sun to come up. It's going to be a couple hours, or at least an hour before that sun goes anywhere. Isn't the Apple Watch more practical? I don't wear watches for practicality. Now, that being said, yeah, an Apple Watch does way more than this does. Apple Watch is like tracking your steps and GPS, and you can get your emails on it. And it's your heart rate and your blood pressure and all that shit, right? Like a mechanical watch is not going to do that. I don't wear it for practical purposes. I wear it because I think they're fucking amazingly cool, and they really are practical. I mean, this watch, it has a top rated chronograph on it, so I can time events with it. I fucking hate smartwatches. How badly do you need your phone attached to you? I know. I never wanted one, but it's cool. I know people like them and stuff. Really agree with Andrew Tate that he's right on smartwatches. I don't want to read my emails on a watch. Yeah, me neither. You gonna get some Gucci? JK, lol. I actually owned Gucci sunglasses. I bought a pair of Gucci sunglasses years ago. They're really fucking nice. I don't wear them very often. You still talk to TJ and Scotty? Yeah, I still do a show with TJ and Scotty called Deep Fat Fried. We do it 2 days a week, usually on Tuesdays and Fridays, live for everybody. And then the videos come down and they become exclusive for patrons after that. And that's how we make our nut. So yeah, TJ and Scotty and I are all still good friends and business owners together. Doing a show later, yes sir. Yes sir, I've got a show at 2 p.m. my time today. And it'll be about a 6 to 7 hour show, so by the time I'm done, it'll be night. I went to a Gucci store with my mom and all said, oh yeah, like I got that pair of sunglasses at a sunglass store in an outlet mall. Outlet malls being like a big box, like open box stores, where you get a little bit of a discount on the things that you buy. But I still paid a lot of money for those Gucci shades. I think they were over $400. But I'll never need another pair of fucking sunglasses again. I don't use them as much now because my eyeglasses, not these, but my other pair that had to go back to the optometrist, have transitions lenses on them, so they kind of double as my sunglasses. Apple Watch cellular, all you need unless you're doing something and you need a laptop. Yeah, that's true. Like most people don't have computers these days, right? They've got phones or tablets or whatever. Makes sense. There's another deep fat fried meetup. I don't care if I have to hitchhike. I'm going. Cool. Well, I would plan on sticking your thumb out then in the fall of this year. You might want to start, getting your thumb ready to go. I think docking a phone to a larger screen will eventually take over the laptop and desktop market. You may be right about that. I don't know. How do you feel about this crazy inflation the United States is experiencing under Joe Biden? I mean, yeah, it's another part of squeezing the working person, right? I mean, this inflation is actually by design. It's a greedflation. It's a bunch of companies looking at certain industries that were negatively impacted by COVID and watching them raise their prices on those industries, right? And they just went, oh, we can raise prices too. And so everybody is just kind of in a battle to scalp more money off of people for shit that used to cost a dime. Oh, yeah, inflation is huge. I mean, I live in California, so gas prices here are absurd in comparison to the rest of the world. Like, gas prices here are some of the highest in the world. And it's, well, I mean, in terms of, I guess, the highest in the United States. The UK has super high gas prices, but they also have incredibly highly subsidized public transportation and shit. UK and Europe gas prices are obscene, but once again, they actually have ways of getting around that aren't cars. Look at Brian Posehn. Brian Posehn. Okay. I don't see it, but cool. Brian Posehn's a cool guy. Yeah, I've seen the electric motorcycles and shit. I mean, it's crazy, man. Just the leap that cars have gone through in the last 10 years is really shocking to me. That girl is a real cloud pleaser. I just subscribed to your channel. You seem very calm. Cool. I have in the past not been known as a calm guy, but I do feel like that I'm more balanced now at this point in my life than I have ever been. That girl is a real crowd pleaser. Paul, you were calm and precise. Yeah. Well, the preciseness comes from work that I did on a speech impediment. I didn't have a very bad speech impediment, but I had a pretty pronounced like stutter for a while when I was a kid. And I had one of those things where I really felt like my brain was outrunning my mouth a lot of the times. And so, one of the things that I learned to do is to slow down my speech and to be very deliberate in my pronunciations and to take time to add inflection with my voice. And it took a long time for it to not sound stilted and jarring, and now people find it to be kind of soothing, at least from what people have told me. But yeah, it took me a lot of years as a teenager to kind of get over that, and I was never really treated for it because it was never bad enough. I wasn't like I don't think I had the actual kind of stutter. I think it was more of a mumbler. I don't think I had an actual stutter like some people have. I was more of my words would get kind of chewed up in a sentence. And so I had to learn to speak very slowly, deliberately, and clearly. Also changed my accent completely during that time in my life. I had a very southern accent when I was growing up as a kid. When I lived in California, I would be made fun for it quite often. And around the time I got into high school, I had a real picture of myself as an adult or as a kid being in high school and kind of working my way through that and talking the way that I did. And so that I worked very deliberately to adopt what I would call a more generalized California West Coast kind of accent. But when you do that, you retain accent to your mother, or you retain you retain access to your mother accent. And so when I'm around my mother, this is how I talk, and this is how I would have talked had I not spent all that time in high school learning how to undo that kind of soft mouth that comes with this kind of generalized Southern accent. So my family comes from two parts of the South. My daddy's side of the family would come from Missouri through Texas, right, and then into California. And my mama's family did the same thing, but starting in Arkansas, Arkansas to Texas to California. And so my family's accent, the way my parents talk, and thusly the way that I learned to talk, is a kind of a mishmash mutt from those three kind of regions, but mostly Texas. That time that the family spent in Texas almost um, knocked any proof of Arkansas and Missouri out of my accent. But it's very easy for me to speak this way. I wouldn't have to be so slow and deliberate if I talked this way because this is the way that, I learned to speak. And when I'm around my family, oh goodness, it's so easy for me to talk and it just happens without me speaking or thinking it. But taking the time to deliberately teach myself not to round out my vowels and not to soft mouth and to hit my plosives harder and all of that. You would never know. Yeah, you would never know. It's always weird to, like, girlfriends of mine, the first time that they come to my family's house, meet my family, they're like, "Why do you talk like that?" It's like, well, you know. That girl is a real clown, please. Uh, Favorite candy to munch on at the movies? Skittles. So my favorite movie order is I'll get a bucket of popcorn and I'll get a thing of Skittles and I'll get a Diet Coke. And if I got that, man, that's like my theater meal. Okay, it's got all the food groups. It's got lemon, lime, cherry, grape, and orange. Okay, lots of fruits. It's got corn and grains, good healthy grains in corn. It's got butter. It's got the dairy, right? It's got everything you need. I did stop smoking for a very long time, about 2010, I think it was. I started vaping, and I just cold turkeyed. I quit smoking completely, and I vaped from 2010 to 2020. And then in 2020, I had a big breakup, and my ex-girlfriend was very, very anti-smoking, and was always worried that I was going to pick back up, and because TJ would smoke, and blah blah blah. And once she was gone, once she left me, I was like, I'm gonna show her. I'll show her what's what. And I went down and I bought a pack of cigarettes. And so I'm gonna show her what's what by getting cancer. It's like that's a stupid fucking thing to do, right? But here I am. That girl's a real crowd, please. Better that you wanna do me. From the standpoint of emotions, very understandable now. Skittles are delicious, but so bad for you. Do you still eat them, or have you lost the taste for them? Yeah, I haven't had Skittles in 6 months. I don't really have the desire for them. I never was a big sweets eater. Like I'm a fat guy, but I'm fat from like eating potatoes and pizza and shit like that. I like savory food, I guess. Never been a big like cakes and pies kind of fat guy. But man, when my sleep apnea was bad, your body is just like any kind of energy you can give me, and Skittles are nothing but just little fistfuls of sugar. It's like you're just eating granulated sugar, and that is quick, cheap energy, right? It's quick, cheap, easy energy. Weight loss journey is slow but steady, man. The way it's supposed to be, right? I would guess I'm losing about a pound a week, maybe a pound and a half, 2 pounds a week, something like that. I'm not much of a cake guy, but I'll fall head over heels for a good pie. I like a pie, man. Like a key lime pie. Or, I don't know what other kinds of pies. Maybe like a raspberry pie, like a berry pie. But that to me is just like, man, it's so once in a while, right? That's too fast, isn't it? Well, here's the deal. I'm a really big guy. I don't know how big you would think I am looking at me, but I weigh right now 340 pounds. I weighed 370 pounds when I started. And I have a lot, at that size, you have a lot of water weight, right? And it takes a while for your body to shed that excess water. And so you end up losing weight pretty fast. You're not big looking. I'm pretty big, yeah. I weigh 340 pounds and I'm 6'1". So I'm a pretty big dude. But yeah, and I've lost weight before. This is par for the course for me. You lose weight fast in the beginning because you're not just losing fat, you're losing a lot of water. And so that is still kind of going on with me, I think, even 30 pounds later, because when you're as big as I was, 370 pounds, you know, that's a lot. That's pretty fat. That's pretty big, even for a tall guy. I love ketchup too much. It's like I eat a lot of ketchup. I eat a lot of sauces. As like an American, I think that's a thing for us. We want to put barbecue sauce, mustard, ketchup all over everything. Those sauces are just like salt and sugar bombs usually, but I haven't really cut back on saucing or eating those types of things. It's just that like my portions are tiny now in comparison. Top 5 cookies. Oh man, I don't know if I'll have 5. I'm gonna go. I'll give you my top 3, okay? I'm gonna go sugar cookies number 3. I'm gonna go chocolate chip cookies number 2, and I'm gonna go oatmeal raisin number 1. I'll give you those, okay? I don't know about 5 cookies, but those are my tops. Sugar 3, chocolate chip 2, oatmeal raisin 1. Never had an oatmeal raisin cookie? Oh my god, man. Oatmeal cookies are the best, bro. Wow, Paul, really? What? I won't hate you for that, number one. Sorry, you asked. It's my favorite. Oatmeal raisin cookies are fucking delicious, bro. Especially fresh ones that are all like kind of gooey still a little bit. You know how cookies get like when they're hot? Oh man, that's the one, man. That's the one, natural one, make it easy. I like weird things sometimes though. Like my favorite muffin is a bran muffin. I love like a honey oat bran muffin. Like not to denigrate like a blueberry muffin or whatever. Dinor, come here. Come here, my little friend. I think you're a little too worried about things. Discord trouble, hop in VC when you get a chance later. Oh, shit. Okay, well, I can do it now, Mommy, if you think I need to. I don't need to keep going. So if it's something that needs my attention now, I'll hop on Pop. Thought you were talking about Little Debbie's, or the little snack cakes. Nah. It scared the devil out of me. Dinor's bark is piercing. So Dinor is a weird mutant. It's not urgent, just whenever you can. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll be on a little later then. When I finish this up, I'll pop in there. I mean, if it's something that doesn't need my input or whatever, I trust you implicitly. So you make whatever. I don't want it to be like waiting and festering. If there's something that needs done, I trust your judgment. Just do whatever has to be done. But yeah, I'll be in there a little later and we'll talk about it. Paul, didn't you do some weightlifting during the DP days? Did you enjoy it all? I did do a little bit of weightlifting. Yeah, but I didn't really enjoy it. Yeah, so Dinor, he is a 4 types of dog. He's a mutt, right? And we did the whole doggy 23andMe. I can't remember what it's called. We sent off a little swab of his mouth to them, and they sent us back his genetics. And so he is Cocker Spaniel. He's like 25% Cocker Spaniel, 25% Chihuahua, 25% Shih Tzu, and 25% Hound. And it's that last one, that Hound 25%, that gives him his loud bark. Hounds are hunting dogs that are supposed to be able to alert you of the position of an animal that they have treed, or a duck or whatever that you have shot, wherever they are in the woods. And so they need to have that loud, piercing bark so that you can hear them from a half mile away and find, the animal you've been tracking. It does not look like he has a voice like that, but when he barks, it is like everybody within 300 feet stops. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Dino was born in December, like late December, early January, and so his birthday's somewhere in there. Yeah, he's about 25, between 25 and 30 pounds, somewhere in there. What rappers you listen to, Paul? A lot of different ones. A lot. Like I've been a hip hop head since the late '80s. So everything from like Dana Dane, the Fat Boys, MC Ricky D, Dougie Fresh, NWA, Dr. Dre and Snoop. That whole fucking like era of rap, all the way up through the modern era. Modern rappers that I listen to. I listen to a lot of Playboy Cardi. I listen to a lot of Kodak Black. I listen to a lot of Ray Srimmerd, Post Malone. I'm pretty open minded when it comes to modern music. There's quite a bit of it that I like. I'd have to look. I don't know Russian Blue. I know Spotify tracks that, and I use Spotify quite a bit, but I'd have to look. Ever met a celebrity? I met Shannon Doherty. I've met several celebrities. Yeah, yeah. I got to meet Leonard Nimoy. Actually, got to have a personal conversation with Leonard Nimoy, which is really nice. Um, uh, I got to meet Anna Nicole Smith, and by meet I mean she berated me in front of the Whiskey A Go Go on Santa Monica Boulevard. Yeah, that was fun. I've had brushes with Leonardo DiCaprio and Toby Maguire. I had a brush with fuck, what's his name? Guy that was in the fucking late '90s Godzilla remake. I'm just brain farting on his name. He was also Ferris Bueller back in the '80s. Brain farting his name. Bumped into him when I was in New York. Just saw him on the streets. Didn't you meet Ronald Reagan and the Soviet president? Those were lies, okay? I was making, that was a meme. I was inserting myself. Matthew Broderick, thank you. Yes, that's the man. Shannon was so mean. I bet she was. Spock, that must be close to #1. G's a really great guy by literally everything I've seen. Well, I was very lucky. So when I was in high school, I auditioned my sophomore year for a very exclusive summer school in Orange County, California. An art school called Cal Arts in Valencia. And they had a summer school project or program that was exclusive, very hard to get into. I believe it was for like 400 kids a year. It was a international competition, and so kids would send in contrasting monologues on tape, and the committee would pick kids to give them a scholarship to come and spend 2.5 months at a college campus, one of the most forward college campuses in America when it comes to performing arts. And so getting to go to that is a real privilege as a kid who's looking into acting and stuff, right? And so I got in. I got into that summer school in it would have been 2005, that summer, and it was life changing, man. And so that that school, Cal Arts, has a lot of alumni and a lot of famous people donate to the foundation that funds it. And one of those famous people is Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy was a huge contributor to the school, and we did monologues, and I got to do a monologue in front of Leonard Nimoy and Edward James Olmos. Edward James Olmos had a stepdaughter that was attending the school, and I think that his contribution for that was why he got to be there. And Leonard Nimoy had no kids in the school, but he was an alumnus, and he was very good. Edward James Olmos, for all his fame, was not all that great. I did my monologue for him, and then each kid would get to go and spend 5 minutes getting feedback from these two working actors. Fake story time again. No, this is actually true. And you can look these types of things up. You can fact check me. I'm listed on their website and all of that stuff as an alumni. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I got to do this monologue for Edward James Olmos and for Leonard Nimoy. Edward James Olmos's feedback was all positive. I remember he said to me, "You're a real talent. That was very good. I felt that you really understood your character." And I was like, "Thank you, sir." It chuffed me up. And then it was my turn to go and talk to Leonard about my performance. And Mr. Nimoy, he said, "You didn't even try." That was the first thing he said to me. And it was so true. It was like such a call out. He was like, "You didn't work very hard on this." And instead of lying or just staying quiet, I said, "Yeah, you're right, sir. No, I didn't." And he said, "See, that's a missed opportunity. And as an actor, if you want to do anything in this business, you're going to have to give 100% of yourself, even when you feel you can give 40. You're a very talented guy, and I can tell that you've existed on coasting by. But if you want to act at a higher level than high school, you are going to need to put in the work." And man, I was blown away by that. I mean, you might think, oh, harsh or whatever, but it was just like to hear that from somebody who I'd watched as a child, and so his credibility, right? And he had no reason to lie to me about that, or to steer me that direction, other than he was trying to really help. And so I've carried that advice with me through my whole life, and I've applied it here. I mean, the reason you guys are here watching me is in large part um, due to that advice. If you're going to be an entertainer, throw yourself into it with everything that you have. Be the best that you can be. Work on yourself. All of those things, right? Very simple advice, but to hear it from the mouth of such a preeminent actor, and for him to feel comfortable in taking a kid and dressing them down that way, it really felt good to me. It didn't feel good at first, but after I thought about it, I was like, wow, what an opportunity. He was real with you. Yeah, he was real with me and Edward James almost was not real with me. He was there to kind of like pump up the kids, which is cool. And it was neat to see him, but holy shit, Spock put the fear of God in me. He did. I mean, he really fucking did. Lance, just put on your patch and shut up. Oh, oh, he got banned. Oh, he got timed. Okay, that's okay. He learned his lesson. I'm sure he'll be a good boy when he comes back. Nimoy must have seen potential in you. I mean, I won't speak for the man. Oh, baby.
What?
I just love you.
I love you too.
I'll take my horse pills now.
We'll take the horse ones first.
Yeah. Fish oil down the hatch. 3, 2, 1, go. Ugh. Okay, got it. Meds so I don't stab people, down the hatch. Go. Oh, yes, the voices are receding already.
You want me to make you a smoothie or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
I think
I was gonna say no, but having 2 bouts of that fucking nausea yesterday was enough for me.
I'll make you a smoothie.
I've learned my lesson. I don't want pill stomach. I stab people, 4 or 5 people every day. Try and see a shrink to stop that shit, but there ain't no fucking way. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about jazz or classical music. Do you care for those at all? I love all kinds of music. I was raised on jazz music, and so I'm a big jazz fan. I love jazz for its ability to just melt into my background. Um, Favorite jazz song of all time is Basin Street Blues by Louis Armstrong. That song will make me fucking straight out cry. In fact, I think I cried on stream one time back in the Periscope days, because my aunt had passed away. My aunt used to play Louis Armstrong and old jazz standard records when I was over at her house, and I was infatuated with that as a kid. And she was a big part of opening my mind up to different types of music. She had passed away. I was talking about it on a stream like this, and I decided to put Basin Street Blues on a speaker and just listened to it, and I was weeping by the end of it. Um, Does your dad still play any jazz? No, I was talking to him the other day about it. He was kind of reliving his jazz band kind of memories and talking about his friend Kirk, who's actually a successful jazz musician now, and how they're getting back in touch and stuff. And I was like, Daddy, you gotta pick the fucking cornet back up. And he's like, oh, my lip is dead. You know, my lip doesn't have the callus anymore. And it just takes forever to build that up. Do you play? I do not. I was trained to play trumpet and flugelhorn and cornet, but not at a proficient level. I started as a kid, kind of trying to like follow in my dad's footsteps and stuff. But I didn't have the passion that he had for the instrument. For anyone who wants jazz recs, my favorite pianist is Bill Evans. You Must Believe in Spring is a goddamn beautiful album. Yeah, Persephone likes jazz as well. She'd probably have a lot more in-depth kind of like recommendations for you if you want to pick her brain. Those of you who don't know, Persephone's a music teacher, so she's got a good brain for music, and you can pick her brain over at discord.gg/Paul. Saxophone Colossus is one of my favorite albums, and I discovered it playing GTA. Oh, neat. Learning an instrument is a lot of work, and yeah, you have to be quite passionate to do it. Yeah, I always kicked myself in the ass because my parents, when I was 6 years old, started me on piano lessons. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man, if I'd have stuck with that, I would have been slaying so much pussy. Oh my God, you know guys that can play the piano and sing along with it? That's just heart melting, man. Nobody knows you now when you're dying in LA. Ding, 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 ding. If I could do that shit, I can't make you love me if you don't. Remind me in many ways of my dad. I wish you a good morning, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I'd say women love guys that play guitar the most. Guys that can play guitar, any kind of proficient, like chicks are weird, man. Some chicks are fucking, they love drummers, right? And so it's like they're looking through the band at the drummer going, damn, you know, it's just an instrument, man. If you can proficiently play an instrument, you got a leg up on every other dude on the planet when it comes to women. Chicks are weird, man. Yeah, they are. Chicks are weird. So true. The power, the power, the power of LA. How many pets do you have? Cats. Would you ever get a cat? I have a cat. His name is Cricket. He's an indoor cat. He's a black cat. He's a black Bombay cat. And oh my God, do I love his little face. And I kiss him on his little head, and I scratch his little chin. And he comes up and he purrs and he rubs his face on me, and goddamn do I love that cat. And then I've got Dinor, the bestest, most greatest dog ever. So those are my pets. Time can never mend careless whispers on the dance floor as the music dies. Do 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 do. There's a pair of eyes. Na 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 na. So the truth. Thank you, baby. Pain is the only prize. I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. No, it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Should've known better than to cheat friends. A wasted chance that I've been given. So I'm never gonna dance again the way I dance with you. What is that drink? This is a protein shake, which I do in lieu of eating a meal in the morning, so I don't get pill stomach because I can't eat. I'm not hungry in the morning, but I can sip on this, and it's like substantial enough to not give me pill stomach. It's also a cinema roll cup, cinema roll Starbucks cup. Eat my ass, okay? Because you've got nothing this cool. Nothing. You listen to much reggae, there's some pretty relevant songs. I love reggae. My friend Morgan got me into Burning Spear, which is like a more like Rastafarian tinged reggae. And I just can't like I can just go like throw on Burning Spear and listen to it all day. I mean, it's such a vibe. I don't listen to reggae a lot, but when I do, it's always perfect.
You just don't crave the reggae because it doesn't get stuck in your head as much,
Hmm.
maybe. Yeah.
I think it's because I can't connect with the lyrics a lot. Sometimes I don't know what they're saying. The very thick accent and the kind of like
Hmm.
they have a language their own that's just kind of like a adjacent to English. I don't really, I can't hear the lyrics, and so I can't really get it stuck in my head in the same way as other songs. But man, it's just a supreme vibe, and that's my definitely my favorite reggae sound. What's up, Ron? How you doing, buddy? That's definitely my favorite reggae sound. Those Burning Spear. You should look up Burning Spear. They have a song called Naughty Dread. That's my favorite song. Dread, naughty dread now, naughty dread. Zoloft or Boost Perone? I don't think either, right?
No, not either.
Neither. Good. Just finished a bike ride. Cool. So do you have a recombinant bike, or like are you a mountain biker, or you just do like a racing bike or a street bike, or like what kind of bike? I used to love riding bikes, and I think it would be a lower impact thing that I might be able to do, but God, it's been so long since I had a bike. I see people riding those recombinants, and I'm like, that must be nice. Cruiser, but you take it on trails. Neat, man. That's cool. It's cool that you live in a place that's got a lot of trails too. I guess I do too. I guess there are probably quite a few trails around here. I know there's a one through the park that you can bike. Get a bike with big training wheels. That's not what I'm worried about. Like, there's a reason why they use riding a bike as an example of something technical that you can learn that you never really forget. Like, if I were to jump on a bike right now, I'd take off on it, but
You're
it's
worried
just
about your knees and
yeah, I'm
your
worried about my
back
knees, my
and
back. Yeah, I don't know how I would handle that kind of pumping and stuff and being hunched over like you have to with a bike. Um, it's been many years since I rode one, so yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Do you laugh when you hear the side effects listed during drug commercials? It takes up the majority of the commercial. I know. It's so absurd. That law really fucked them, but you know what? They didn't give up. They were like, fuck you,
no.
we're still going to do it. This drug might cause diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, and sudden death. You should not take this drug if you are a human being, have blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes.
You know, they don't do the ads for Ozempic anymore because they just get convinced all the doctors to do it now.
Yeah. If you experience extreme swelling of the face or glands, please go to the hospital immediately because you might be having a severe allergic reaction. You may need to wear diapers while taking Ozempic. It's like, you have to tell us the truth about it, and and you're still doing it. Like, what a bunch of idiots. Hey, bring me that bow. Give it. Give me that bow. Give me that bow. You have to hand it.
I know their audience, like,
Oh,
most
shit.
people don't fucking watch commercials unless they're, like, stuck in a doctor's office or something.
Bring me that bow. Give me that bow. Give me it. Give me the bow. I want the ball. Give me that ball. Give me that ball. Give me it. You experience muscle spasms, please seek attention immediately as those may become permanent. Oh, what? And sometimes it's for shit that, like, there's other things to handle it. It's not that big of a deal. It'll be like, if you experience dry eyes, ask your doctor about Oliva. Oliva will, and it's like, what about Visine?
Tell you what, though, they tell you more than the doctor.
Dinor! Dinor!
Hey!
What are you eating? Dinor!
Come here. No.
Inside. Now. Inside now. You will not be a cat shit eater. So disgusting, man. So gross. I just look over there and he's mowing down a cat turd. Oh. And then I say Dinor, and he looks at me because he knows he's not supposed to do it, and he starts gobbling faster, goes back for another bite. Ugh. Dogs love cat shit. For some reason they do, man, and it's so disgusting. This neighborhood is just like brimming with feral cats. And they just, they crap in the bushes, and Dinor goes digging through there and gets their little turdlets. So gross. Just eating a big mouthful of dirty, disgusting cat crap. How does that make sense from an evolutionary perspective? I mean, there must be some kind of, like, nutritional value to it.
Yeah.
They're scavenging animals, and so there must be something that the cats crap out that has something that they can have nutrition. Yeah, you can whine all you want, bud. Go on. Go on about your business.
I gave him a wipe on his face in case he had anything stuck
You
to
eat
it.
a gross cat turd, you don't get to be out here because I can't have my eye on you every time, and I can't trust you not to eat a cat turd. So you stay indoors. Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. True. They can't even tell if it's predator or prey. I don't know. What if reincarnation is real and you come back as a dog to discover cat turds are better than pizza? Damn, that would be cool. Maybe they are. I don't know. I've never eaten one.
Yeah, dogs are weird. Some of them, like, they only eat their own poop, and some of them want to eat other animals' poop.
Dinor's never eaten his own poop once. But he will find a cat turd, and if you let him, he'll eat it.
And he's so aggressive about it that you can't, like, tell him to spit it out, because it's already, like...
His whole mind is driven by food.
Yeah.
He's a food-obsessed man. And when he gets that cat turd in his mouth and you yell his name, he looks at you. He knows he's not supposed to be doing it. But instead of stopping, he goes back in for another mouthful real quick and gobble, gobble, gobble. You ever eaten corn the long way? No. Have you? My dog is an absolutely monstrous turd gobbler. Mine too. So disgusting. Do real wolves eat cat poo? Probably not. It must be a malfunction of humans forcing them to breed oddly. Maybe. I don't know, man. I bet wolves do eat scat. They're a scavenging, opportunistic animal, and so they're gonna eat whatever they find that has any nutritional value whatsoever. It's the law of nature, right? And so I bet they do eat certain kinds of animal scat. I just don't know how much of that. Like they're probably not house cats out where wolves are running around. So, but I'd imagine there's like bobcats and mountain lions and those sorts of things. Bears, maybe. I don't know. Although bear shit is very different than cat shit. Bear shit is very close to human shit because they're so omnivorous. That's why human shit is the worst shit. That's why dog shit just like it stinks for a while and then it just dries up because it's like it's very processed. Human crap is just like, eh, 3/4 processed rotten food coming out of the back of you. You know what I mean? Like other animals don't do that. Bears do though. Bears take a nasty human dump. Yeah, I have one cat. I talked about it earlier. Crickety the chickadee, aka Cricket the king.
And he is an indoor only boy.
Yeah, he's an indoor cat. He was fixed little, so he doesn't have the spiciness he would need to be indoor outdoor. He's a sweet boy. He thinks he's a big tiger, but he's actually a little baby tiger. Don't tell him I said that. Indoor cats are much safer, yeah. And when they establish themselves as indoor, they don't really obsess about being outside.
Like he's only darted a few times. We don't leave the door open, obviously, but we're not like panicking.
He's interested in what goes on out here. He loves perching in the windowsill and like watching. But I don't think he's got that drive to be out there roaming and stuff. He's a little mama's boy. He doesn't like to be 10 feet from her, lest he can help it. It's actually a crime to dump poop in water because of how toxic human shit is. Oh my god, it's awful. It's the worst. Omnivore poop. There's nothing in nature that is worse. It's like when I was a kid, we used to go on field trips. I know those things don't happen anymore, but they used to take us places and teach us things. And they took us up in the mountains one time to do a biology lesson, and we were there to collect and examine bobcat scat. So bobcat poop only stays wet for like 12 hours or something, and then it turns into like this dry, crumbly mixture. And within it, because bobcats prey on rodents, you might find the entire skeleton of a little mouse. And so that was the idea, is we would go through it. All the kids were like, ew, but they were like, look, it's just like...
It's like an owl pellet.
Yeah, it's like an owl pellet, exactly. It's light, it's dry, it's not poopy, it doesn't stink. And when you go through it, bro, we still have field trips. I mean, you do. You work at a private school. What's the public school doing?
I've heard that sometimes they do field trips to like the grocery store, which is so sad.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. The schools that I worked at, there was a Mexican supermarket across the street from one of the schools, and that was the field trip. They took the kids over to the supermarket. I work at a charter school. Charter schools receive public funding. Okay, well, fair enough. But
it's still not.
It's still not the same as a public school. An entirely public, non-charter school is going to be way less funded than your school. They solely run on public funding, but they're a charter school, which means they get government subsidy, right? They are a subsidized school. They are better funded than a shitty public school on the wrong side of town, is the point I'm making. So if you do field trips, that makes sense. I did field trips. We actually receive far less funding than public schools. You're a charter school. How does that make sense?
You have less kids, I'm sure.
Right. You have smaller class sizes.
Which equals more funding per kid.
More funding per child, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Don't act like you're magnet.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be hard to explain in text. I understand. I'll talk to you about it. I'm interested. But yeah, if you guys take field trips, that's great. The public school system I worked in, there were 33 schools in the little town that I worked in, and not one of them took a field trip longer than across the street to the grocery store. When I was a kid, we went all over California. I was in Yosemite. I went to Mission Viejo, went to San Juan Capistrano, went up in the mountains and did the bobcat scat thing, went gold panning. I spent 2 weeks living on a boat that was docked in San Francisco Harbor called the Balclutha. It was a Revolutionary War era boat that they had restored and kept in the harbor, and I lived on it as a sailor for 2 weeks. I was the helmsman, and so we slept, ate, worked, and lived as sailors for 2 weeks. I have never heard of a child taking a field trip out like that in the last 20 years ever. And I was just at a shitty little public school that was so underfunded that it couldn't afford an ESL program back when I was a kid. We didn't have an English second language program, so kids that didn't speak English were sitting right in the class with us. So yeah, you can look up the Balclutha, man. I don't know if they still do that with kids, but I lived on that fucking boat for 2 weeks. So that's what I mean when I say field trips. I don't mean we took the kids out and took them in the back room of a grocery store. Or we took the kids to a local park and poked around at a caterpillar with them or something. It's like we went all over the fucking world. Did you keel haul anybody? No. I had to raise an alarm one night though, because it was my job. I was the helmsman, so when everybody else was asleep, I was at the helm. And that was a really eerie job because San Francisco Harbor, right across from it, is Alcatraz. And I could see the lighthouse on the top of Alcatraz through the fog. But what I couldn't see was the shore from the back of the boat because of the fog. And so it felt like I was out in the middle. And my job was to stay at the helm for my 6-hour night shift and to ring the alarm bell if I saw lights, lamps, or any approaching ships. And one night, I shit you not, there was a little dinghy with lights on the top of it that was approaching to kind of dock somewhere near us. And I went ding, 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 ding. And the guy leading the thing came up and got everybody out of the bunks, up out of the bunks, up out of the bunks, to the deck, to the deck. All the kids got to the deck. And then he said, okay, it's just a dinghy. Go back to bed. And he said, good job. I was like, really? Okay. You seem a lovely guy. Yeah, I'm a really nice guy, you know. I'm the greatest. No.
Hopefully Dinor's wimping teaches him something, but probably not.
Yeah. Well, we can let him back out here now. He's learned his little wimp fuck lesson.
I guess.
I feel bad for his little ass. He always wins me over. But you eat another turd, it's over for you, bud.
Yep. You're gonna start being leashed out here.
Yeah, I'll leash you. I will. Tell me I won't, because I will. No more eating poop. No eat. You lay down. You be good. Were the other kids pissed? Hell no. Everybody that was on that boat except for one kid who started crying the second night and had to be sent home loved it. There was one kid that when we bunked down that first night was like, Mama, and we were just like, ugh. But he went home, and once he went home, the rest of us were just like, fuck, we're gonna be pirates, bro. It's over. He told us like, swab the poop deck, and we were like, yeah. We were like mopping the front of the boat, like, yeah, this is awesome. One kid got to be the lookout, so he got to climb the crow's nest, and that was kind of cool. We were all envious of that kid. We thought he had the coolest job because he got to go up in the crow's nest and do his. But everybody was very jealous of me because I got to stay up late because I was the helmsman and night watchman. I actually found spending data from the state regarding my specific school. Okay, cool. Well, let's hear it. Do you see where that one student fell off the cruise ship, lost and never found? Yeah. Yeah, I did. I saw that video. He was just like memeing and he jumped in and he just like disappears into the darkness and he was never seen again. It's like, whoa. That's pretty fucked, my dude. Could you unban me from the subreddit? No. Make another account and don't fuck up again. I don't do unbans, man. I don't know how Seffi feels about that shit. I think she probably would do an unban if she felt, you know, maybe somebody was unwarranted. But
Well, I
dude,
said subreddit, not.
well, I know, but I'm just talking about bans in general.
Yeah.
I used to be kind of like, oh, I'll clear the ban list, but that just brought people back. It just like renews all these accounts that all these, you know, throwaways that I've banned. So I don't do it anymore. If you're banned once, unless I was really just off my rocker and egregious and, you know, if the chat is calling me out on it or whatever, like that was unwarranted and blah, blah, I might rethink it. But other than that, bro, you cop a ban, go make a new account and don't be a fuck up next time as far as I'm concerned, because you wasted my time. Now I get to waste yours. I can't stay, but I had to pop in because of your nice smile on the thumbnail. I hope everything is going well. Thanks. I hope everything is going well with you. I appreciate it. Very nice of you to just pop in and say something nice. I wish I could see you. I'd say something nice back. But you made me smile, so thank you. It was nice. I'm going to go get my nose blown so I don't sound like a cokehead out here. We're doomed. We're doomed. All of us are doomed. No, D-O-O-M-E-D. Doomed. Doomed. Real quick question. I haven't stumbled across this live from scrolling short, so I'm a bit confused. What Reddit are we talking about? I saw you said you were mod. So I'm a podcaster. I do this for a living. This, not this. This I do for fun. But I have a show called Deep Fat Fried. There's a clips channel called Onion Nuggets that you can check out. Our subreddit is Deep Fat Fried. It's not a great place. Not a lot of people there, and the people that are there tend to troll a lot, but yeah, that's what we're talking about. But this is what I do for a living. I've done this for almost 15 years. My name is Paul Zigo. You can search that. It's just my little side channel, The Poltergeist. There you go. Welcome. Paul never lifted my DFF chat ban, all because I once told Paul that he probably lived the incel lifestyle when he was younger. Yeah, I mean, you catch me on a bad day and you catch a ban.
I don't even remember that.
In my town, public schools receive $15,000 per student. My school, charter school, received $12,000 per student per year. But you have to do the math. $12,000 per student, but you have smaller class sizes than the public school.
Charters are also free from the curriculum, so they can reallocate their money differently.
Right.
So public schools have to allocate money towards certain things, but a charter is
A charter
free.
can decide to fund arts programs, things like
hire more teachers in exchange
Exactly.
for whatever, like
keep class
basketball
sizes small.
Yeah.
So that's my understanding. Also, my school reports an average class size of 18.2, which is the same as the public school average in my town, but higher than the state average of 17. That sucks. Your charter school sucks.
Yeah.
The whole point of a charter school is to allow kids to go to a school with smaller class sizes and a higher funding ratio. And if you're underfunded at a charter school, I hate
class sizes aren't smaller.
And your class sizes are larger than the average. I hate to say this to you, Persephone, but you don't work at a charter school, hun.
You
work at a public school.
You work at one in
You
name
work at a
only.
rat fuck public school that they call a charter school to probably get people to send their kids there. Because if that is true, if your funding is less than the state average and your class sizes are higher than the state average, you don't work at a charter school. Massachusetts fucking sucks then. Because everywhere else in the world, charter school means better.
Well, like Texas, you said there was a huge fucking difference.
Oh my God. So my ex-girlfriend's sister, who was 13 at the time I got with her, got accepted to a charter school in Texas. And she went from 30 people to one teacher in a shitfuck public school to like a 15-to-1. And it was a performing arts charter school. So it was way fucking worlds better than the public schools in Texas. That same goes here in California. There's a charter school not right up the road from us here that, you know, a lot of kids wanted to go to because it has a performing arts basis. And the reason why parents want to send their performing arts kids there is because the class sizes are smaller and the funding per child is higher. So if you're working at a Massachusetts charter school that is worse off than public schools, you're not working at a charter school anywhere other than Massachusetts. If you walked right across the border to a neighboring state and went to a charter school, you'd be blown the fuck away, because there's no point in a charter school if you're not getting better than you get at a public school.
Yeah. So there was a fundamental, like, mental misunderstanding of the language being used.
Yeah, I didn't know that fucking Massachusetts decided to label shit fuck, rat fuck public schools charter schools. I wouldn't have guessed that. Having worked in education for 9 years and gone to conferences and shit, I've never heard that. I don't usually catch a live, but I want to say I dig the glasses, Paul. Thanks. I dig the glasses too. I'm so happy I mostly live in a good school district. My kids' kindergarten class is 12 kids. Yeah, I mean, small class size is the most important thing you can look for in a parent, or as a parent, for your child's education. Nothing else really matters. Getting a child into a class that's 13, 14, 15-to-1 makes all the difference in your child's education. Here in California, I don't know what the average class size is now. I know that when I left, it was 33.3333, whatever, per teacher. So 33-to-1 was the classroom average in the school district I worked in. Large school district, like I said, 33 schools in the district. Yeah. So I can only imagine that's gotten worse. I imagine today it's probably close to 40-to-1. But I may be wrong about that. I don't know. Been out of the game for a while. Yeah. What a fucking nightmare. Man, come to Boston. We got great charter schools. You go there, it's
That
like
are
the
worse
fucking
than the public
slum
school.
shit school.
Well, I mean, like, the fact that the average class sizes are so low in spite of that, it might just be that the charter schools suck because the public schools don't suck.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a super low. 17 to 1 is super low average.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. Like, the charter schools thing doesn't work in Massachusetts because they're not, like, they don't have a lot of room for improvement, so they end up sucking somehow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, baby. That girl is a real crowd pleaser. I went ahead and pissed Mommy off. That was a rant against Massachusetts, not Mommy.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way you should be calling that a charter school if it's worse than the average public school. That makes no sense.
We were just incredulous because it means something totally different everywhere else.
At least everywhere else that I'm aware of. Maybe it's the same everywhere else. I'm pissed. I figured. I was ranting against Boston, Mommy, not you.
We were just incredulous.
We were just because charter schools out here mean 15 to 1. They mean more funding per kid. They mean more opportunities for extracurriculars and the arts, right? It seems like it's the opposite in Massachusetts, which is very strange. Very strange. But with 15 to 1, I imagine field trips are a lot easier.
Yeah.
I know people got beef with charter schools, but they're fundamentally a good idea as long as spending per student is the same as a public school. The same or higher. And in my opinion, class sizes should be average lower. That is true everywhere else I know of that has a charter program. Like I said, I don't know of everywhere, but I know Texas, Oregon, California, Washington, Nevada. I used to conference with a lot of people that worked in those states, and all of those have a charter system that lowers class sizes and increases funding per capita. Absolutely, class sizes should be lower. I mean, a teacher would look at what you put there, that 17 to 18 class size average, and a California teacher would weep. Like I said, when I left the business, the California average class size was 33.1. Probably closer to 40 to 1 now.
My Latin class was 45 people.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the average. So I had a class that I, was part of one of the campuses that I serviced, Monroe Elementary in Madera, that had 50 children in it. 50. That's half 100 children to one teacher, crammed into a classroom that was built in the 1950s.
Built for like 20 max.
For 12 children.
Yeah.
So the class average is not the extreme end. That shit should be illegal. It should be, yeah. Those children were not getting an education, and that teacher was being fucked.
What do you even do with that many kids?
You stand up and you read from the script.
Yeah.
And you give them the test, and you time them, and you treat them all like they're little information robots. Mm-hmm. And that's that. And none of them learn anything. None of them get the fundamentals, but that's okay because you tried. Paul was trying to get them young. See, why? Why are we doing a pedo joke when I'm talking about education? I don't understand some of your like fucking minds. But is that just a troll? Like, what a stupid, shitty joke. So I tell you what, the most slept on. The Eye of Sauron is on you, and if I notice you one more fucking time, Blaze got you fucking timed out for a good long time. When you come back, if I see you and notice you in any other way than contributing, you're fucking gone. You can get on another alt. I just hate that shit, man. I want a fucking speed bump. fucking retarded speed bump. Good morning, Paul. Good morning. Tell us more about the 90s, Grandpa Paul. Oh, they were wonderful. Chocolate rivers ran in the streets, candy cane streams, whiskey ran straight from the taps. Everybody had a weed garden that was just abundant and fragrant and full. Kurt Cobain would visit us all personally because he was a chill guy like that and hang with us. You know, it was fucking crazy, man. It's crazy.
That might be a fun fucking experiment. Like if you were to write like a mock history book of recent history.
And just like, but do it like with your nostalgia goggles taped on.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, that would be kind of funny. Schooling thing sucks to talk about because one hand, some reform needs to happen. On the other hand, I've seen firsthand that one-on-one schooling doesn't get those kids to learn. Yeah, I don't think that's true, unfortunately. One-on-one learning is one of the most important things in public education. Every teacher that I ever spoke to was a passionate activist for class size reduction and the hiring of more teachers. And the reason for that is individualized attention and individualized instruction can make all the difference for a child with a learning disability or a child who is gifted in one area and just not in another, like I was. I had an absolute gift for language. I was a voracious reader before I got into kindergarten. My parents started me reading from a very young age. I was reading books like rudimentary, those early reader Seuss books like One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, and Hop on Pop when I was 3. So I was super gifted with language. I was probably 2 or 3 years ahead of most of my classmates in language. But math, I was not good. I wasn't good at times tables. I wasn't good at fractions and dividing when we got there. I was all okay at basic addition and subtraction, but as soon as it got more complex than that, I was like, but I went to a public school in the 80s, and my class sizes were 12 to 1 or less. And so my teachers had time to say, all right, class, let's work those timetables, and then come over and sit right next to me at my desk and help me with it. And it's because of them that I was able to pass all of the required math through middle school and high school. Had they had 50 other kids and just thrown a fucking times table in front of me, I probably would have been behind in math my whole life. But because the teachers were able to take time with me one-on-one, I was able to pass high school without having to have a special graduation requirement. I was able to pass California state mandated high school level math requirements for graduation, which at the time was Algebra 2. I had to do algebra, geometry, Algebra 2. The only way as a society we will start to learn again, if to get a solar flare to knock out the internet, need research to know anything is out the window and our attention spans are short. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would want a solar flare to knock out the internet because a solar flare would also knock out every electronic device on the planet. So that would be like a reset to the Stone Age. That's not a good thing. There would be blood in the streets, but I see what you mean. Walking back the internet, I'm a passionate advocate. Those of you that are new have probably not heard it before. Those of you that aren't have heard it a million times. I'm a passionate advocate for a restructuring of the internet to make it a safer place for children and adults and to make it a more productive place for political talks and philosophy and just conversation. Like the guy that came in here, right? That's on his millionth alt account that when I'm talking about education makes a pedophile joke, right? Those types of people, I know, you might think, oh, that's not a problem. But when you multiply that problem, right, in a community that isn't policed like mine is, what you get is you end up having talks with people who you don't know are who they say they are. I have oftentimes, like on Twitter, back when I used to do Zitter, I would get in kind of like back and forths on Twitter with people, and then find out after hours of checking back and responding and arguing that I'm dealing with like a 15-year-old, right? There has to be some kind of way that I can, because if I can tell a 15-year-old, right? So if that person were to walk up to me and go like, vote for Joe Biden or whatever, I would be like, okay, kitty, thanks. Skibbity bop bop bop. Yes, yes, right? But because on the internet, I have an assumption in my head that I'm talking to like at least somebody that's 20 and has voted. I waste my time. I waste my time arguing with somebody who has no frame of reference and nothing to base their political opinions on. And I've just wasted my time because I assumed I was talking to an adult who paid bills. And I'm talking to a 15-year-old who plays Xbox for a living. So it's a problem, right? Then you extrapolate out that problem. There are predators on the internet. I myself was a victim of predators on the early internet. I was one of the first people I knew to get on the internet. And at 10 years old in 1990, I was being routinely preyed upon by pedophiles on the internet through chat rooms. I was being taken private. I was being asked for pictures of myself. I was being asked for my address. I was a smart enough kid to know stranger danger, but I was also pubescent, so it felt normal to me. Felt normal to me to be engaging in sexual talk with these grown men. And in fact, it felt powerful. I was like, ooh, look at me. I can get, you know, I'm sexy. They find me hot. I had no concept that I was being groomed, that I was being exploited sexually for the pleasure of people who prey on children. And this was in the early internet, right? So you have to imagine most people at 1990 didn't have a computer and didn't even know what the fucking internet was. So just in that small microcosmic environment, I was swarmed like a vampires. Pedophiles were all over me. They were everywhere I looked. And because I didn't have parents looking over my shoulder because they didn't know to look for that, I was involved with adults from 10 years old all the way till 18. I had a girlfriend that I would have phone sex with routinely that I started seeing when I was 14. She was married and 29 years old. So, the point being, the internet needs to be made safe, not just for discourse, not just for having a talk, not just so that I, as an adult, don't waste my time talking to a child, right? But because there are people that will prey on those children, there needs to be a separation on the internet between adults and children. Okay? Not just to protect the discourse, not just to protect conversation and protect people's free time, and to make sure that they do not waste their time talking to a child that has no frame of reference, but to make sure that that child is not routinely preyed upon, groomed, and sexually abused by pedophiles like I was. And I can only imagine that the internet is 10 times, 20 times, 100 times worse than it was in the 90s today when it comes to people having access to young children. People that prey on young children having access to them. It is easier today than it ever was in the 90s, and I was swarmed with them. So what does that mean? What do you think that means? If in the 90s, when it was a niche hobby, maybe 1 in 500 households had a PC, and maybe 1 in 100 of those had an internet connected PC, right? So you're talking about maybe 5 million people, and that's maybe high. In 1990, that were accessing chat rooms, right? And I was swarmed by pedophiles. In that microcosmic environment, I was swarmed by them. Like I said, I was in really fucked up relationships and sexual relationships with adults from 10 to 18. 8 years, right? I was sexualized by adults who got off on the fact that I was underage. And now everybody's on the internet. Every child has the internet in front of them. What do you think that's done? Do you think the pedophiles have gotten less as the children have gotten more? I don't think so. I don't think so. So That's why I'm a passionate advocate for retooling the internet and making it something that actually serves humanity rather than takes from it, right? Because right now, the internet is basically a place where people come to argue fruitlessly and pretend that they're doing activism when they're not, and prey on children and waste their time. And the internet could be a place that really replaces the new public square, right? Nobody goes to the public square. You guys probably heard stories, right, of the soapbox, right? You go to the public square, you get a soapbox, you stand on it, you say, people, hear my words. The government is not blah, blah, blah. People gather around, they shout you down, they agree, right? The internet is that, right? But here's the problem. Let's go back to the public square. In the public square, let's say a guy is out there and he's just going blah 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 blah, like shouting me down, and people can't hear, right? And the crowd wants to hear what I'm saying. That guy is going to be given the bum's rush. That crowd will throw him the fuck out and silence him, right? Because he is being disruptive to what is an attempted discourse between adults, right? But on the internet, that blah 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 guy is wearing a mask, and it has Skibbity Ron or Johnny the Appleseed written on it, right? Or whatever fucking 28 Zero Cool 2892, right? And when you kick him, he's already back in there as two other guys that start going blah blah blah. And when you kick those, he's three other guys blah blah blah. And all of a sudden you can't have discourse anymore because one dude has too much free time. So if you're telling me that the public square would operate under those same rules, I'm calling you a liar. If the public square had multiple men in it who could just disrupt and be 28 people and pretend, as a black man, I disagree, and he's a white kid, fucking 13-year-old, right? If you think a public square can be a helpful thing with that in place, you're just wrong. You're a fantasist.
And I think the approach to making it kid safe now is very misguided. Like, just trying to make all of the internet less explicit doesn't do anything.
Right.
Like, the fact that Coco Melon is like the most popular channel on YouTube.
What
It's
is
just
it?
nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
And like they're trying to like make like just normal channels meant for adults that specifically click not for kids, still kid friendly, is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, if there's just a separation, then you wouldn't have to worry about adult spaces being like.
Yeah. It's like if I go to a cigar bar to socialize, and I get me a cigar and a fucking nice single malt, and I sit there, and there's a gentleman sitting next to me, and I strike up a conversation. I can see with my eyes and hear with my voice that that man is in his 30s or 40s. I can look at how he's dressed and see that he works a job. I can see the watch or the ring on his finger and know that he's married or not, right? There's all this that I can infer from seeing that man sitting next to me. So if I get in a political conversation with that man in that private space, I can be sure that I'm at the very least talking to another adult human being. Now let's imagine I go into that same cigar bar, but instead of a man sitting there, it's a constantly shifting meme sitting there. That is a Skibbity toilet, that is a fucking SpongeBob SquarePants, and he says, as a black man, I disagree, but won't show you that he's a black man, and you can't see that he's a black man, and in fact, you're pretty sure he's not a black man. You tell me those two things are the same, I'm gonna call you a fucking liar.
And like, the solution isn't to get rid of the cigar bar, it's to borrow the kids from the cigar bar. Exactly.
The solution is the security guy at the front of the cigar bar, that if a kid tries to walk in there, goes, ID? Well, I don't have it. Turn around, Skibbity toilet. Right? That's the solution. It's not to ban the cigar bar or censor the cigar bar. It's to make sure that the cigar bar is an adult place. We do this in public all the time, right? There are places you cannot bring your children. They're shrinking. People are bringing their children more and more to places they shouldn't bring their children. But the places that you can go as an adult and talk to other adults without having to deal with other people's children exist. But they do not exist on the internet. There's no such space. YouTube requires you to check a box if you're 18. How hard is it for a 12-year-old to go, "Are you 18?" Yes. Okay,
Well,
now they're an 18-year-old and they're in here wasting my time.
well, there's some that like make you scan your ID in like certain areas for YouTube, but that doesn't matter because the kids stuff isn't actually separated as kids and not kids stuff. It's so
Right.
wibbly wobbly.
And it's the same on every, like Reddit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm talking to a 12-year-old or a 45-year-old man who's got an opinion. A conservative comes in and goes, "You're a lib cuck." That might be a 12-year-old 4chan poll guy. Or it might be a 55-year-old fucking mechanic from Wabash. I'd be able to kind of assess that with my eyes, but because the new public space is multiple man, I'm anonymous, I'm 15 different people at once, I don't know who I'm talking to. That's a problem. It's 100% problem. And if we don't address it, we may as well just give up on the internet being anything other than skibbity dibbity hibbity dibbity toilet. Skibbity bop bop bop, yes, yes. Time wasting, trolling, bullshit, lying, as a black manning. You can't have a talk and take somebody at their fucking word when they come in. If a black man walks in and goes, "As a black man, I don't like that," I go, "Fucking A, man, explain to me why." But if you walk in the fucking internet, you might be a fucking 12-year-old white kid who hates black people. And there's no way for me to verify that unless you're willing to send me a picture of your ID or go live and put your camera on. But 99% of people, that's their worst fear. There are people that are so online that their worst fear is that somebody will find out what they look like and who they are. I bet there's a lot of you in here hearing that going, "I'm seen." They become so comfortable being hard-boiled frog and not Paul Parkey. Being, fucking dye worm and not Paul Parkey. Out in public, I'm Paul Parkey. You are John Smith. I can see your age. I can see your experience. I can see your adulthood. And we can have a talk as Americans about what needs to be done and how. On the internet, you're probably 10. And you're trolling because you're bored and you've unlocked everything in Roblox that you can possibly unlock. Because your parents threw that in your lap at 3 years old and you've done nothing but professionally play Roblox for 8 years and you're bored. So you get on the account and you find somebody talking about adult politics and you go, "Trump." And I've got to go like, "Is that an adult in here or what?" Like, I guess, so I engage. And now I'm arguing with a 12-year-old who's bored. Is it really that hard to ignore the trolls? I'm not even talking about the trolls, bro. I'm talking about having a conversation. And yes, it is hard to ignore the trolls in that context, isn't it? Let's say you're having a conversation with your mom, hard-boiled frog, okay? You and I are talking now. Let's say you're having a conversation with your mom, and it's probably one you've had a bunch of times, and she's going, "Hard-boiled frog, you are 30, and it's time for you to move out," right? And you're saying, "Oh, Mom, come on. I can't get jobs and everything sucks anyway," right? You're having that conversation. Let's just say that all of a sudden your mom morphed into a 12-year-old boy and went, "Loser." And then your real mom came in and said, "What the fuck is this?" And you were like, "I thought you was Mom." And then that mom that just walked in went, "Loser." And you're like, "Where's my real mom?" If that happened to you, would you say that that was a functioning society? You think you could happily exist in that society? I'm just asking you. So hard-boiled frog, it's on you. I'm not even reading what other people are saying. It is on you. You think that's functional? I want to hear you say it. And if you say, "Yes, I think that's functional," you're probably 12 and I'm going to ban you. So come on with it. Taking a long time to skibbity type. I've tried to have conversations online in YouTube comments and people do just what you've said. I move on with my day. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. I work on the internet. So I can't move on with my day. Moving on with my day means doing my job on the internet. I'm also an adult. So moving on with my day involves more than grabbing my fucking Nintendo Switch and starting a third playthrough of Breath of the Wild. Okay? There's a bird behind you, Paul. There are lots of birds behind me and above me and in front of me. I live in a forest. Paul, ageist and authoritarian. Yeah, both. Yep. When it comes to the internet, you give people an inch, they will take a fucking lap around the earth. So yeah, we need some fucking hard rules for how you identify who you're talking to on the internet and whether or not they're a human being. If I right now snap my fingers and tied your real name to this account, there wouldn't be a single person that popped in here and was like, fat, stupid. Not a single one. Because if I could click on you and say, oh, hey, Carl Johnson from fucking Cleveland, why do you think that? It's like power word real name. You ever heard that? It's an old kind of like 4chan kind of thing. Power word real name. Oh shit, I have to really like back what I'm saying with my personal fucking reputation? I'm just gonna lurk. Yikes. Paul, when did you realize politics boiled down to violence? Was it Derek Jensen? Seems a very conservative libertarian insight. You're misrepresenting or misunderstanding. Civilization is violence. And yes, it was Derek Jensen that opened my eyes to this. And the anecdote that he uses is really easy and simple, and I'll repeat it for you now. Derek Jensen says, you live in a house and you lose your job and you can't pay your rent. What happens? Well, eventually, a policeman comes to your door. You open your door. You say, come on in, sir. Come on into my home. You invite him in. You sit down at the table. You say, how can I help you today, officer? And he says, you didn't pay your rent. I'm here to kick you out. And you say to the officer, well, I won't leave. This is my home. The fact that I wasn't able to pay is an eventuality, but I'm a human being and this is my shelter. I cannot leave. I have nowhere to go. And if you go back and forth 2 or 3 times like that with the cop, what happens next? The gun comes out. Put your hands in the air, put your arms behind the back, you're under arrest. And if you say, I'm under arrest for just simply being in my home, and you don't put your hands in the air, your arms behind your back, the cop will drill you. He will tackle you, he will beat you, and he'll handcuff you. And if you fight back and defend yourself in your own home, he will shoot you and kill you in the floor of your own home. Civilization is predicated on institutional violence, and violence only flows one way. It flows from the top to the bottom. Anytime somebody tries to export violence the wrong way up the hierarchy, they're called a mass murderer, they're called a serial killer, they're called a violent extremist. But if a cop shoots a bunch of protesters, right, that violence was exported from the ruling class down, and it's excused, and it's normalized, and it's rationalized. It's not your property if you're paying rent. That's actually untrue. You need to read US law. When you rent a home, it is your legal personal domicile. You have the last say as to who enters your property or exits it. You have the last say as to who enters your property, exits it, lives there, visits there, how you decorate it, what you put in it, what you allow in it. It is your property. You need to read the law, sir. Being confidently stupid and wrong is something that happens a lot on the internet. But I'm a grown-ass man and I know the law. I've rented for a long time and I was a homeowner for a long time, sir. So you're going to have to stop spreading misinformation, okay? Confident stupidity is extra stupid to a person that's not. Okay? To a person that's reasonable, when you come in and you're smugly, confidently stupid and you don't just ask the question, isn't it this way? That's fine. That's not stupidity. But just going like, LMAO, it's this way, and you don't know what you're talking about is a really dumb fucking thing to do, and it makes you look like a dumb person to people, okay? I mean, you do what you want, man. I don't second guess my mods in here. You do what you feel. I'm just responding to comments as I see them come up, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Jensen is a would-be eco-terrorist and against transgenders, mostly because he's a second-wave feminist. Paul have admitted this multiple times and said he can't agree on one point and disagree with. What was that? I don't understand. See, this is part of the communication problem, right? That whole ass fucking paragraph, it's like a run-on sentence with no punctuation, and it made no sense. I don't know what the point was of that. And this is what I'm talking about when I say like functional illiteracy, media illiteracy, the ability to extrapolate context, the ability to translate your thoughts to a written paragraph. This is like new, man. And it's really like out of control. Why would you spend all the time to type that whole thing and not read it and make sure it's like legible? And my only thought process is like, that person didn't know it wasn't legible. And I'm not even trying to be mean. It's like you typed a whole paragraph and you probably, I assume, read it back to yourself to make sure it, and you were like, yeah, that's cool. And you hit it and I read it and it's gobbledygook gibberish. It's like a 12-year-old scribbled in crayon on a fucking piece of lined paper and I'm supposed to read it. I mean, you have autocorrect on your phone, no? You have Grammarly as an option. You have all these fucking options that'll like make you look smarter than you are, and nobody avails themselves of them. They write run-ons. They use no punctuation or no proper capitalization. They use the wrong version of there, and there. They don't hyphenate. They don't know the difference between its and its. It's like, and you've got all the tools that'll just do that for you so you don't look like a retard, and you end up looking like a retard anyway. Like, what do you think I think of you if you do that? What do you think anybody thinks of you? You type a paragraph on the internet and I read it and it's literally a run-on sentence that has no fucking predicate. It's just literally just gobbledygook. It makes no sense contextually or grammatically. And you're a grown-ass person who has every tool in the fucking world to autocorrect. To like, even, like you have technology that'll help you pretend not to be retarded. And you still like, LMAO there, fucking, how's it going there, Paul? And it's THEIR. And I'm like, what? You misspelled it. It's the wrong there. I'm sorry. It's crazy how bad the education system has failed these people. Happens super quickly too. Oh yeah, last 20 years it just went. This rant is so petty. I'm sorry you think so, buddy. I'm just being honest with you. I'd consider it tough love. Because you're probably skipping, skibbity, skip, bop, bop, yes, yes, writing paragraphs of gibberish all over the internet, and people are just ignoring you. Nobody cares enough to tell you, like, my man, you sound retarded. Use autocorrect. Pay $5 for Grammarly and use it. My man. Nobody's ever told you that, and so it feels bad. You feel stung. Because you know it's true, though. If I went back to that comment you made, it's gibberish, my guy. Absolute gibberish. Nobody understood what you said. And you have a communication problem. It's a chronic problem. I see it all the time and it drives me crazy. What drives me crazier is when I've typed, checked, corrected if necessary, only to have spell check change it for me. Truth. I agree. Like it's $5 for a Grammarly account. And it'll correct everything that you do. It'll punctuate for you. It'll literally do what your teachers didn't teach you to do. Write a sentence that's legible, cohesive, and meaningful. Because so many of you just cannot do it. That paragraph was a sad nightmare. It was a sad nightmare from a horrible victim of Dunning-Kruger who was failed by the education system. The concepts that were thrown around in a mishmash in that were so above that man's pay grade due to his inability to even fucking couch the thought in a readable way. And yet I'm supposed to have a fucking adult conversation with that guy. You know? I'm supposed to be here for fucking hours talking to that guy? How? I don't know what the fuck he said. And instead of explaining what he said or correcting himself, he just got mad. This is petty. It's like, no, it's really not though, dude. It's honest. You sound retarded. When you type and speak on the internet like a caveman who just figured out the language or whatever the fuck. I mean, I understand it's some people's second language, but for the most part, in my experience, people that are ESL in here, way more grammatically correct and legible than people that aren't. It is native English speakers that have the most profound grammatical problems and the most profound comprehensibility problems in their writing. It's unbelievable. I'm ESL. Ooh, right. You would never know it, but Stephanie grew up in Seffi grew up in fucking Italy. Speaks Italian as her first language. But she presents herself and holds herself as a very, very well fucking read person and a master of English language. And she's in her early fucking 20s. You have no excuse. You have no excuse. It's like, if it comes off as petty or mean, I'm sorry, but I don't think anybody's telling you this. I think that guy's just getting ignored everywhere because people get halfway through his paragraph and are tired of the run-on, and they just go, well, that's a retard, and they skip him. And he thinks he's being read and listened to. But I'm probably the first person on the internet to tell this man, like, you didn't learn in school, sir, to punctuate, to accentuate, to write a cohesive sentence with a beginning, middle, and end, to write a paragraph that has a center to it. You didn't learn, sir. And it makes you seem like a dumb person, and it makes you seem like it's really not worth anybody's time to waste their time talking to you. And I gotta be honest, I think that's happening to you on the internet a lot. I think you're typing and typing and typing to people, and they're getting about a tenth of the way through your gobbledygook of misspellings, misattributions, zero punctuation run-on, zero predicate nonsense. And they're going like, well, this is a retarded person or a 12-year-old, so I'm not going to speak to them. And you think that your voice is being heard, and that it's really not. Oh, Pranav, check it. Sternglass Hamburg Chrono Mecha Quartz. Brand new from Sternglass. Just released several days ago. I'm one of the first people in the world to have it on their wrist. It is fucking beautiful, my friend. Absolutely fucking beautiful. Do you think that person has ever heard that before? Maybe people go uncorrected for too long. Well, I can tell Sorry. Oh my god. This watch. Um sorry. I got fucking beamed by my watch and now I don't remember what we were talking about. Anyway, I really feel bad if that guy thought I was being petty and mean. I was really trying to help him. I don't want him to be unintelligible. I don't want him to not avail himself of the tools, the myriad tools that we have today to help us correct grammar and make ourselves legible. It's just you're such a throwaway and you think you're being heard and understood and you really aren't. And I don't know that anybody's telling you that. If it comes off as petty, I apologize. And if I was aggressive, I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings with it, but man, it gets hard when you do these shows, especially a show like this. Um, uh, where I'm really fucking dependent on you guys, because I answer your questions and I talk about what you talk about, right? It's so hard to do a show like this and have people who clearly want to engage but they just can't because they were failed. And I feel like maybe those people could avail themselves of the ability to write if they just learned a little bit, but nobody's telling them, right? So they think they're being understood. And I think most people, when they got halfway through that comment, would have just went like, all right, moving on. And the guy probably thinks, oh yeah, I won. You can't answer my point. Not what I wrote was unintelligible. I don't think anybody tells him that. And so I did. And if it came off as mean, I guess it has to come off as mean. Maybe I'll try and think of a better way to say it. It's unfortunately a lot of young people today. Yeah, it is. No, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to make you feel bad if this is you also, but it is something that maybe you could work on with yourself. Either pay the $5 and get a Grammarly account. It'll do autocorrect for you and give suggestions and help you learn. Or just use the built-in autocorrect on your phone. I don't know why people aren't doing that. Like every smartphone, to my knowledge, has built-in autocorrect and grammar correction. So I don't know why people aren't using it, but they really do. They really do sound dumb. I show your Waffle House story time when I share vids with new people. Yeah. Crazy fucking night, man. That was such a crazy Waffle House event. Dude, it is so much hotter today than it has been. I really need this fucking sun to get just a little higher. Like now. Oh, that's better. That's better. If I can get the sun off of me, I'll be able to stay out here. But not for long. God damn. I don't usually do THC carts. My friend gave me this one. I'll hit them when I'm like there. I cough more on them, but I'll hit them when I'm just not feeling like doing a whole joint or whatever. I cough pretty heavy on joints too. It's kind of a sad thing as a stoner. When I got COVID 3 years ago, my lungs got damaged, and since then I can't really like deal with. I want to take these big lung hits, because that's how I kind of grew up. Hit a joint real hard, hit a blunt real hard, and get a good deep lung hit. But if I do that, I'm gonna cough 9 times out of 10 now. I have to take these little sip hits. Yeah, this is a cake cart. It's a 3 gram disposable cart. Cake cart, I guess. Cake vapes are trash. I don't know. I mean, I like I said, I'm not a big vape guy, so. How's the humidity in Cali? Does it depend? Yeah. I mean, it depends on where you are, right? Humidity can get really bad here in the valley, because it's such a large but isolated place. We're surrounded on all sides by 2 separate mountain ranges, so it's a true valley. So it can get very soupy. But on the coast, the humidity is higher, but the temperature is lower, and so it feels great, right? And then you can go just about 4 or 5 hours from me to the high desert of Tehachapi, and it's as dry as fucking can be there, we have everything here. Every kind of biome except for jungle and tundra exists in California in abundance. So We've got steppes, we've got plains, we've got foothills, we've got giant mountain ranges, we've got an abundance of beach, we've got high desert, low desert, the whole nine. Paul dating an underage girl? Am I? My wife is 25 years old. I've definitely heard that, or a weird word I've Googled. It's become the first thing populated for months. Android's auto is trash. I mean, any auto would help though, yeah. But there are other like apps that you can get to install on top, you know, and they will do autocorrect and stuff for you. We're all Paul's children, yeah. I guess so. Bro. See, this is what I'm talking about, though. And it's kind of like a good thing that this is happening now because this is like an object lesson, right? As to what I was just discussing about. So oftentimes the riches are taken care of it, but this is a person that's created 18 different accounts that look exactly the same. So they'll probably be coming back for about 10 or 15 minutes. But this is a good object lesson, right? When I was talking earlier about the cape of anonymity and the asshole in the audience, that the community goes like, oh man, you're fucking shutting down discussion, let's kick you out. But then he's back as 2, 3, 4 different guys. Yeah, this is the guy using the free speech that people say I'm trying to destroy on the internet, right? And it's a fantastic object lesson for those of you that have been watching the show at this point, that this guy decided to show up, and maybe he did it for that. I'd like to think that this is a person that did it for that. No, the mods are taking care of it. He's being banned over and over, but like I said, he's got the what I like to call the cheat code. He's got mom's Wi-Fi, and he's got a free cell phone that mom bought for him, and that's really all you need. To create 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 accounts that look exactly the same. YouTube has a fucking horrible account system that doesn't tie all the accounts to a mother account. So if I ban you here on one account, then you go create another channel, you can be back in 15, 20 seconds. And, so this is exactly what I was talking about, right? It's like an object lesson in the public space being eroded by people who aren't there, right? By people who aren't, by fake people, by people who are massive amounts of alts. That will give you an example. That guy that came in 15 times on an account called Paul, that's why the Reddit upvote downvote system is completely worthless, right? Because these guys will have 50, 60 accounts on Reddit, and they will say something shitty, and it'll somehow get 60 upvotes in a second. Well, you know how somehow they're upvoting themselves, and Reddit has a system that pushes those comments to the top so they can ensure that you have one choice: delete their fucking comment or just let their dog shit float. Also you look at YouTube upvote downvotes. Those are just engagement to us now. We used to care back in the day if we got like a lot of downvotes, we're like, oh no. But like now, when we get a lot of downvotes, it's like great, awesome. It's engagement, right? It's just treated as straight engagement. But those are botted. So if people are mad about something I said politically and they want to show me that they oppose me, but they are functionally illiterate and they can't type in the chat, and they know they wouldn't win an argument with me, what they will do is they will, post that dog shit and upvote it a bunch so it rises to the top of my comments. Downvote the video a bunch so it makes it look like there's like an organic kind of like backlash against what I said. And this is all a functional, real world example of what I was talking about. How the mechanisms of the internet are not functional because one person can be 60, right? One Russian bot farm can pretend to be 80 different fucking average Americans. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. like you're talking. It's like if you take some of the stuff that happens online is absurd, right? You're talking to someone online, and you're like, "Oh, can I ask where you're from?" "Yeah, I'm a black woman from Michigan. My name is Irene Bentley." "Okay, Irene Bentley. Cool. How are you doing?" Right? And you're looking at her, and she's a black woman, and you're like, "Cool." And then you put that same interaction online. "Hi, where are you from? What's your name?" "Hi, my name is Irene Bentley. I'm from Michigan, and I'm a black woman from Michigan." And then you're looking right at the person, right? And it's a Russian dude, a little fucking twink Russian dude. And if you went in his pocket, his Russian ID would say Sergey on it or Alexei, right? Just think about the absurdity of that, right? That is the internet. Right? Dostribanya. Monique Vladimir Brown. I know. And people don't even really even talk about the absurdity of that. And if you do, they go like, "No, just ignore it." It's like, just ignore that when I'm having a conversation with somebody that professes to be a black woman, 90% of the time it's a fucking teenager Russian named Vladimir working at a troll farm. Just ignore that. As a dude that makes his living on the internet talking to people, ignore it. Okay. How you reckon I should do that? Telling me I should watch my mouth. How? Pull my fucking eyeballs out and turn them around? Right, well, that guy proved it, right? Everybody was going like mods because they thought it was the same account. But it was 18 or 19 different channels that this guy took the time to make so that he could come back over and over again and say that I was into little kids. You see? I'm new to your streams in general. Wasn't here at the beginning of the stream. What inspires your titles? I sit down to do a stream and I close my eyes and I pull a random thing out of my head, right? Whatever thing is stuck in my head in the morning when I start, I just plop it out there. And this morning, that term came into my head. I was like, what am I naming this? And the first random shit that popped in my head was Gum the Gristle. And so I just go with it. Like, I don't know how to title a show, right, that I don't know what it's going to be about. For all I know, we were going to spend the whole day talking about outlaw country music or some shit, right? Not politics, not the state of the internet, not the state of education, right? That's cool. I respect it. Yeah, I just, that was actually a good question. Yeah, yeah. I don't think people ask me that all that often. Love the random stream names. Yeah, it's something I've done for a long time. Yeah, if you go back and look at this channel, and most of them will have very strange names. I'll just think of something that sounds nice in my head, and I put it up there. Paul, you know damn well at this point that's how 70% of your streams wind up. I guess that's true, but there's always the anomalous stream, right? Like ideology, well, what I call this, and I guess the poltergeist is a strange place, right? You never know what you're gonna get till you get it. You never know what mood people are gonna be in, and you never know what mood I'm gonna be in. Now, lately, you've been able to rely on me being in a pretty fucking disgustingly rosy mood. Okay, disgustingly rosy, awful and rosy. Um, but there have been times. I mean, people that have watched me for a while, you newbies, they'll tell you. Read it in the chat. Sometimes Paul is in a dark, dark mood, and it's a whole different thing. I'm Iranian. Cool. Welcome, Faraz. Oh man, timed him out. I think he might have accidentally done it though. That's okay. Well, you're welcome here, Faraz. Sorry, it was the double post that got you banned. like to imagine the stream titles are born from the first stoned thought of the morning. Yeah, maybe so. The law is harsh, but it is the law. Yeah, it's just a timeout. Pre CPAP Paul versus Rosie Paul. Yeah, I'm hoping that my mood stays much more level now, like this. But I've got to say that there's a really good chance I have a major depressive episode, maybe have a few weeks or a month that I'm just fucking not good, you know? And if that happens and I continue to do these shows, which oftentimes I don't, but if I do, you guys will notice. But I got to tell you, this is how I feel inside. This is like the person that, like, I kind of think of myself as. I feel I'm a pretty easy going, you know, but a passionate guy. I can get on a tear, get on a rant, you know. I can be very direct, and people kind of, I think, oftentimes misinterpret that as rudeness, but I can also be very rude if I want to be, you know. So those are all true about me, but I think that that person is who I am. And ultimately, I really like people. You know, I don't want to be antagonistic with people. I want to talk to people and reach people and look into their eyes and have them look into mine. And I want to hear their stories. I'm a people person. I always have been. You ever cut your hair short again? Probably not. My whole life, after my mom kept my hair long till I was about 4 or 5. And then when it was time for me to go to school, she started cutting my hair. And ever since then, I've always wanted long hair. I made several runs at it in my like early mid 20s, and my fiance that would become my wife at the time said I just looked dirty, like it just looked like I was a dirty hippie, and that I didn't take care of my hair properly. That made me look gross, and it that her and she told me her dad disrespected me because of my long hair. He called me a hippie, and he didn't know if he trusted me to like take his daughter's hand or whatever the fuck. I don't know. There was just a lot of pressure on me, and then you know, I had the longer hair when I was working for Starbucks. When I left Starbucks, there was a dress code at the school district that would not allow me to have a long beard and long hair, and so I really had to kind of like shave my face and go get a fucking dorky sports cut, fucking $15 haircut or whatever the fuck, you know. And I was miserable looking like that, you know, but I had to keep my hair like that. It was part of the dress code. And so after I moved from that job to this crazy world, one of the great things about being your own boss is that you get to kind of dress and look and keep yourself how you want. And so this is how I want to look. I've seen myself in all kinds of different hairstyles, beardless, mustacheless, fucking goatee, no goatee, you know, whatever, fuck, mutton chops. I've seen myself in various states, and this is how I feel like I look on the inside. I think it's the best representation of me, and I feel good about myself. You know, I don't like my body, but I'm losing weight. I'm trying to address some of the things I don't like about my body. But as far as my style and my like hair and my glasses or whatever the fuck, when people look at you with the things that they see, I feel good about myself. You know. The hippie look. I mean, I think it's kind of like hippie hipster is probably what I would have looked at myself and made fun of back when I was in my 20s. I probably would have called me like some kind of mishmash between a hippie and a hipster, and I would have giggled to my friends about that. It's pretty funny. Sorry if this is too personal, but how do you manage to be so authentic online and not care about the trolls or other people? I do. So that's the thing, is like I'm a human being, right? So if somebody says something real mean, like it hurts my feelings. I won't lie to you. But I've been doing this a long time, and I also used to be a troll for a long time. So it's like I know the tactics, I know the different ways you can do it. Kind of know when I'm being baited. I've got a good fucking ear for it, right? A good eye for it. I choose to engage with trolls sometimes because I think, despite their meanness, they often make a point that's worth talking about, and so I'll do that. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard sometimes, especially when you're not feeling good about yourself. It's easier when you are. I'm feeling good about myself lately, and so when somebody comes in here and says you're fat, you're ugly, you're smelly, you're stupid, you know, I don't immediately get that pang of like, ouch. You know, I'm like, ooh, like, what? You having an okay day, dude? It's okay, man. Yeah, I'm kind of fat, but I'm working on it, you know? Like, I try and, like, answer in a way that disarms. Paul, smoke a joint. Don't tell me what to do, bud. I appreciate your honesty. Yeah. Well, I just don't, you know, it's a lot of people, I think a lot of content creators are like, I just don't care. I just don't pay attention. I think every content creator reads their fucking comments and gets butthurt about them. I think that's the truth. You're smart and funny, but not good looking. Well, you know, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm just dumbfounded. Oh, by what? Bruce Valance. It's Bruce Valanche, and it's with an I, not an A. It's Villanche. It's a French name, so the Anche is going to be Anche. Yeah, but cool. Try. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I guess I kind of do look a little Bruce Valanche ish, don't I? Just lose the weight, then it's a 3 of 3. Yeah, my wife thinks I'm kind of sexy as a bigger guy, though. And there are a lot of women and men that are into that, you know. So I'm not really looking to be thin. I'm just looking to be healthy, you know. Are you gay? I'm bisexual. But I've never been in an adult relationship with some of my own sex. So I've always dated women. I'm divorced from a woman, currently married to a woman. But I am bisexual. My first early kind of formative sexual experiences were all with my best friend and neighbor, and I started, you know, that was kind of precocious. At about 6, we started kind of doing that kind of like exploratory kind of messing around, and it went on for many, many years. I'm gay. Cool, cool. It's cool that we live in a time where you can kind of say that and not really worry much. It took me 40 years to come out of the closet. I was a very kind of like toxically masculine guy to kind of hide that, because I grew up at a time where being a faggot was, and I use that word not lightly, I'm sorry to use it if it offends, but being called that was like really bad, you know, and like if you were that and people called you that, it's even worse. So you know, I just didn't have the courage to face that as a kid, and I was actually kind of scared that my family would disown me. My parents said some really bad things to me, not knowing that I was gay, or not knowing that I was attracted to both sexes, and so yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I was 40 years old when I came out. Being DFF will ever end. Every show ends. You know, growing up is a word that was thrown around casually. Yeah, it really was. Biromantic and asexual. I'm still not out of the closet out of fear, to be honest. If someone came up to me, yeah, I understand, dude. I understand. I'm gay. My friends asked me if I wasn't a teenager. I had to say no. I asked what they would have done to me if I said yes, and they told me they'd have beaten out of me. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just had some really hurtful things said to me. My mom told me one time when I think I talked about this yesterday, but I'll talk about it again. A lot of new people, always. My mom told me one time, I came to her in my early teens. I was having really, really bad mental problems. My anxiety and depression were fucking out of control. Puberty really fucking hit me like a truck, you know? And I was having these obtrusive thoughts about people hurting themselves, me hurting myself, me hurting other people. And it was like that whole don't think about that, and you think, and you can't stop thinking about it because you keep telling yourself to not think about it. And I didn't know how to handle that kind of like anxiety. And I went to my mom and I said, I have to tell you something, Mom. She said, oh God, what? And I told her just what I told you just now, you know. I said, I have these thoughts. And she goes, oh, thank goodness. I thought you was gonna say you was a faggot. And I was like, you know, when you hear that your mother would rather hear that you think you might be a serial killer than gay, it really like, fuck, you know, you're not going to come out for a while, I think. She would just say some shit to me, like I would tell her I was going on a date, and I would ask her if I could bring my date over, and she would say, long as it ain't a man. And I'd be like, Mama, I'm not a fag. Come on. It's a girl. You ever bring home a man, you may as well just resign as my son, because I won't have that in my house. It's like they really wanted to make sure. Looking back on it now, and maybe I'll talk to my parents about this, we're much more open with each other now, and we're starting to kind of like connect on a deeper level. Maybe I'll ask them if they maybe did that because they sensed in me that I was a little bit effeminate, or I don't know. I'd have to ask them that directly, but that's an interesting thought, you know. I was a very performative and flamboyant kid, and so I'm wondering about that. Now she's cool with it? No. I came out to my mother, and she had nothing to say to me about it. She got very quiet, and she just said, well, I still love you. But she didn't want to talk about any of the things that had hurt my feelings that her and her religious family had said about gay people, and thinking that I was straight. And that's why I came out to her, because I had to tell her, I don't want to hear bigotry and hatred against gay people anymore. I am one. I always have been one. And I straight out told her. I said, remember my little best friend? And I said the name. So that was my first boyfriend. We were together from about the age of like 6 to maybe like 11 or 12. We messed around. And she just got real quiet. Well, I did not know that, and I still love you, which is a nice thing to say, but she didn't have anything to say about the hatred or bigotry. But I just told her straight out. I was like, she was like, why don't you want to come over no more? Why don't you this? Have I done something wrong? And I just couldn't fucking lie to her again and tell her no. And so I told her, the last time my wife and I, who's also bisexual, were at your house was for the fucking Super Bowl. And at the Super Bowl, you and your church friends, every time a commercial came on and it had a person that looked gay or trans in it, you went on a rant about their filthy gay agenda and how they were trying to turn your kids and turn your grandchildren gay. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to that, and I'm thinking, that's me. So they think I have an agenda to turn my nieces and nephews gay. Cool. And I'm supposed to sit there and just smile as a grown-ass man? Fuck that, I'm not doing it anymore. So if you want me to come over, you keep your bigotry to yourself. Amelia had to put her foot down with my mother very early on, because my mother tried to make an off-color fucking remark about black people, and Amelia doesn't put up with that shit. She straight up told my mother, I have 2 siblings. They're both half black. I'm going to need you to not say that type of stuff around me. And my mom was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Of course, you're like, I don't mean all.
I don't mean, I wasn't talking all of them, just them. Just those ones. And Amelia wasn't going to sit there and listen to that. Her siblings are half black. She's not going to hear it. But see, that's the thing, is like, in her mind, she's done no wrong. And in her mind, we're the assholes. And we're the prickly ones. And oh, I got a tiptoe around PJ. That's what she's telling my dad. I feel like I got a tiptoe around PJ. He doesn't let me run around and talk about trans people negatively in front of him. I gotta be on eggshells around PJ. That's the newest one. And it's coming to me third hand because she won't come to me because she doesn't want to talk about it. Because she's afraid I'm going to make sense. And she's afraid she's going to have a conundrum about her son making more sense than her Bible. And that is her worst fear. So she won't talk to me about it.
Just ignoring the eggshells, we have to be around her.
Yeah, I'm the one tiptoeing around and not saying shit, fuck, whatever. Even when there's no kids around. Out of respect for their religious convictions. But they gotta walk on eggshells around me because I don't want to hear hateful Bronze Age bigotry about gay people and trans people out of their mouths while I am one. You know? Is she religious? Yes. She's an evangelical Christian of the fucking most aggressive stripe. She is a holy roller. I'm sorry, Paul, that really sucks. Yeah, it does, but a lot of people go through that same shit. That's why I was in the closet for 40 fucking years. Right? How religious? I just explained it to you. Hardcore American evangelical Christianity, non-denominational church that's all about saving the sinners by telling them they're going to hell. They are holy rollers. They don't believe that the world is billions of years old. They believe it's 6,000 years old because they did the math in the Bible and added up the begats. Okay? So they think that the world that we live on is 6,000 years old and was created by a man in the sky. My dad is a recent convert to Christianity, pulled in by this evangelical family. But he's been having talks with me, and every time I talk with him, he's got a problem with it. He finds some kind of cross purpose between what he believes is true and right and what he's told by the Bible. So I don't know which way the wind is blowing for him. He beat cancer last year, so he's having a whole fucking life change, a rebirth. And Christianity is very common in those times.
You have no problem with Christianity in general, just the kind of hyper-evangelical, hateful kind.
I don't have a problem with anybody's fucking religion as long as they fucking keep it to themselves and don't, you know, and I don't even mean don't talk about it, I just mean don't proselytize it. If I tell you I'm not interested, then I'm not interested. If I tell you I'm an atheist and I don't believe that, then that doesn't mean I want to hear it every time I see you. See, Christians don't get that. A lot, especially the brand of evangelical Christianity that my parents were sucked into. They don't understand that human beings have agency. That I, as a grown-ass man, can tell you, I don't want to hear about Jesus Christ no more. I'm tired of hearing it. Or I'm an atheist and you're not going to convince me. That to them is just a challenge from God to wear me down and make me a Christian. And it is draped over every interaction I have with my family, or at least it was for a long time. I honestly feel like it's getting better, but it has been so long. And there's so much kind of pent-up frustration and anger in me about how they have treated me in the past, that this new kind of tact they're trying to take with me kind of falls flat a little bit.
And they're still like trying to recruit us
into
church
yeah.
things. Right?
They haven't stopped that, even though I've told them please stop. They have not stopped with the, you know, Jesus loves you and this and that, and I pray for you, even though I've told them that I don't believe in any of that. I don't go, man, you know, when I show up, God, I was thinking the other day, I just hope you guys someday come to the beautiful scientific truth that the universe is billions and billions of years old. Because, man, I was just marveling at the sky the other day, and I was thinking, man, if I thought all that was just created in a snap, it would really remove some of the majesty from it. And I just really hope that one day you'll open your heart to science. And then they go, you know what, I'm a Christian and I really don't believe that, and I'd appreciate it if you just stop trying to recruit me. Oh, okay. And then the next time I see them, you know what, guys? I was boiling some water the other day, and I thought about the beautiful scientific principle of thermal retention, and it's just not understood in the Bible. And I really wish that one day you guys would set aside that Bible and pick up a science book and really read about like the reality of the world, you know?
Or like trying to drag them to like some Dawkins book signing or something.
Hey guys, I'd love to invite you guys to come and meet Richard Dawkins. He's giving a talk at Fresno State University and he's signing his book. And I think you guys would really love some of the things he has to say every time I see you, right? I don't do that. So it's a one-sided, lopsided thing with my family. They have not got it through their heads that I feel hard done by when every goddamn conversation with them has to be religious. The best troll is to say, yeah, I believe in God. Allah is my Lord. No, it isn't. I don't troll my family. I'm well past that. It's not fun. It's not funny. I'm not trying to make it a game. I want them to leave me the fuck alone when it comes to that. And I want to have a family again. I want my family to care more about me than they care about my immortal soul. I want them to care about me while I'm here and alive and they can love on me. Paul, can you talk more about your spiritual beliefs regarding the natural world? Do you have any practices that help you feel more connected to nature? I'm currently kind of developing that, to be honest with you. It's a very personal thing. I'm willing to talk about it with you guys, but I'm not recruiting you to my belief system. I'm just telling you what I do, right? And so I have availed myself of some knowledge and reading on Zen Buddhism, and I've been doing transcendental meditation for a while. Um, I've been doing outdoor, like I call it sunshine yoga. I don't know if that's a term, but I have to have the sun. I love to have the sun in my face when I do my yoga stretches. And I've started to add kind of a ritualistic element to that. I do it outside where I can hear the birds and I can feel the heat of the sun on my face. And it makes me feel in that time that I'm doing my exercises and my daily stretches and stuff, it makes me feel connected to the world around me, to the grass on my toes and the sun above me and the trees blowing in the breeze and the birds singing, you know, and the lawnmower endlessly cranking fucking gases into the sky and being a fucking public noise nuisance and totally replaceable, by the way, by quiet and efficient electric gas-free mowers. But I still have to sit in my expensive ass fucking house and listen to that fucking lawnmower every day, and it's just so spiritual. So spiritual. It's spiritual to hear somebody running that lawnmower every fucking day of my life. You know, I thank the nature gods every day when I come out here and I have to listen to some fucking Keeping Up with the Joneses idiot that lives in this neighborhood getting their lawn blown off. There it is. Oh, I love that one too. That leaf blower, also a completely worthless piece of technology that's replaced by a literal broom or a rake. Yeah, love it. Be cool, Paul. I know, I'm sorry, I'm getting salty, but it just makes me so mad. Makes me so mad. I'm moving so far away from that. I don't ever, ever, ever want to live and settle down for a long term in a place where I have to listen to this. Is that even good for the lawn? Lawns are not good for lawns. Bermuda grass is not indigenous to this area. It requires so much fucking water. And the over trimming makes it have to be fertilized more than actual grass. The lack of diversity among the grass hurts the grass. And so it's literally just bad for the environment, bad for the natural grass that you're making. It wastes fertile soil. Grass, the type of grass that they put in, Bermuda grass, turns fertile soil into hardpan. It literally leaches all the nutrients, all the nitrates out of the soil. And it can take years for a patch of manicured lawn to come back as a natural piece of soil. So it's just bad all around. But the idiots that live in these neighborhoods spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to ruin the nature around them and to listen to the screech of gas engines instead of the chirping of the birds that live in this neighborhood. And that trade to them is good. They would rather have their life filled with that cacophony and their lawn filled with an invasive species of plant that turns the ground into fallow ground and have no peace in the mornings when the birds are singing and the sun is on your face because your neighbors are all having their lawns blown at the same time. And when I say they, I mean the people that live in this neighborhood have all agreed that that's a good trade. I trade the peace, quiet, and serenity that comes with living in a small neighborhood for the sound of a gas engine ripping up grass. Fair trade. What kind of gas do you have? I drive an electric car and I'm moving in late summer. I'm taking a trip. I will be gone from the next week of shows because I'm taking a trip to where I'm moving to scout properties. You are not moving, just talking about it. Whoops. Yikes. There's another reason for this. I've been talking about it recently. It's something that I'm kind of uncomfortable with talking about, but I want to normalize it because I need to get help for it. I have pretty profound hearing loss, one ear worse than the other, which makes a lot of sounds, especially loud, droning, repetitive engine noises or beeping noises. It makes them very hard for me. It makes them very dysphonic. I have probably about 30 to 35% hearing loss in my right ear, and I'd say about 25 to 20 to 25 in my left. It creates, well, it's given me, or it has precipitated misphonia, which is a kind of affliction where certain types of sounds can be almost painful for you to read. They'll trigger anxiety feelings. They'll trigger flight or fight response in you. And I have that. And so it is very, very, very disruptive for me to come outside and hear loud, screaming gasoline engines doing the job a rake could do. To hear loud, screeching, screaming gasoline mowers to do what a push mower or an electric mower could do. And this will go on for an hour. If I could just wait it out and it's like 15 minutes, okay, fair trade. This will be an hour because the people that do the lawn there will probably go do the lawn over there, and then they'll probably go do the lawn up across the street. I'll be hearing this drone my whole morning. And then tomorrow it'll start again because the neighbors that didn't get hit today will get hit tomorrow. And then the neighbors that didn't get hit that day will get hit the next day. And what it means is that every day I come out here in the morning to sit and enjoy my time, have a conversation, and it is interrupted every morning by the scream of unnecessary gasoline engines. Because once again, people have decided that they want to pay upwards of $500,000 to live in a really nice neighborhood, but trade their peace and quiet for the scream of gasoline engines so that they don't have to spend 20 minutes using a push mower on their lawn, an unpowered push mower, or they don't have to spend $100 to upgrade their mower to an electric mower with a battery so that it's very quiet and unobtrusive. Well, California has been in the process of banning small gasoline engines for about 3 years. It keeps getting kicked like a football back through the legislature to the governorship, and they can't agree. But I think that one day they will do it here, and it will sunset these gasoline engines. It would be too much of a hardship to just outright ban them, so they will put a sunset on them. It'll be 3 to 5 years that people that work in the business have to save up money and get rid of their small gasoline engines. So guys like these guys that do lawns would have between 3 and 5 years to replace their gasoline engines with an appropriate battery powered or plug-in or manual replacement. And I am such a supporter of that legislation. I think it's going to happen here in California within the next 3 or 4 years, but there being a 3 to 5 year sunset clause means it's going to be 8 to 10 years before it kicks in. But I am really looking forward to that. I have a pair of super high-end noise-canceling monitor headphones, and I have a board that allows me full granular control over my volume levels and mixing. And I turn it up so loud that if somebody with normal hearing were to put my headphones on, you could actually hurt yourself. And I have full noise cancellation on the headphones because I'm so distracted by shit like this. And if it's across the street, I can hear it droning. And if I'm out here, you see how mad I got when it started revving up? It's because of my misphonia. It's because my brain is telling me to run away or punch somebody right now. And it makes me hate the man that's doing it. It makes me hate the person that owns the lawn. Because I feel like I pay an exorbitant amount of money to live in this nice neighborhood with big old trees in it and beautiful birds. And every morning that I try and enjoy is destroyed. Because these people want to have clean cut Bermuda grass on their lawns. And it just sucks. So, end of the summer, I am getting the fuck out of this little cookie cutter. These shitty little slapdash houses that were built in the late fucking 90s, early 2000s, falling into their own footprint. I'm gone, like fucking way gone. Leaving later this week, leaving on Friday for a long fucking trip to check out my new home. And I can't wait, man. I've got a few more things I got to get in order around here. We got to pack. We got to find a new, decide on a final place in our new town. But as soon as we can get all our ducks in a row, late summer, we're thinking July, August, we're gone. All the way gone. Hope everything works out for you. Thank you. I'll be honest with you, I don't mean to be overconfident, but it usually does. In my life, I've found, and my dad told me something the other day, and I'd never thought of it that way because I was telling him kind of the same thing. I said, Dad, I just feel like sometimes I just made it, where other people fell down, I kind of maneuvered around. And when other people, after falling down, when other people would have given up, I kind of just dusted myself off and tried something different. And he was like, that's not luck. He was like, that's because you're a driven and determined person. And I was like, oh, yeah. It's very hard for me to take a compliment. I've been trying to be better about it and just say thank you. So that's what I did. I said, thanks, Dad. But it really, I wanted to argue with him about it and say, no, I'm not. But it's true. I've never had to ask for a handout from anybody. I've been on my own since I was 18, and I've never called my parents and said, hey, Daddy, can I borrow money? I've always paid my own way. When I've had a hard time, I've always dug my way out on my own. I've never asked for a hand up from a single person in my life, money-wise. I've always just made and spent my own money and figured it all out for myself. And I think that that's a good thing, to be able to do. I think it's also what keeps a lot of people locked up at home with their parents for longer than maybe they ought to be. The fear of not being able to do that. Because it really is, it wasn't easy for me. It was a lot of failure, a lot of hard lessons. But at the end of it, I know how to handle it. How do you earn money? You're looking at it. I'm a podcaster. I've been a YouTuber and a podcaster for over 15 years now. I've been doing this as my primary form of income for 10 years. I was on the Drunken Peasants podcast for a while, and then, I kind of broke off of that with a couple of the guys, and I do a podcast called Deep Fat Fried. We have a Clips channel called Onion Nuggets. That's kind of the better one to go to if you want to check out what I do for my money. These streams I do for fun. You can tell I have no donations. I have no monetization on this channel at all. I don't feel like I need to cash in on you guys at every turn. I kind of enjoy talking to you. And so this is fun for me. But yeah, that's my job. Fatty, yes. Yes, I am. How often do you do these streams? Lately, once a morning. Yeah, it's kind of part of my morning routine lately. I don't know. I don't really have a schedule. But yeah, pretty much every morning between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 or 9 a.m. PST is when I usually do these. It's kind of a good way to start my day. I have a cup of coffee. I have a few smokes. I drink a glass of water. I smoke some weed. I had my protein shake here in front of you guys. I mean, you got lucky, you got into podcasts due to your friendship with TJ, so luck was with you. Yeah. No, that is true. And and it's kind of a harsh thing. But I tell young people, because a lot of young people want to do what I do for a living. In fact, the maintenance guy that my property management company hires came by yesterday, and I'm kind of friendly with him. He brought his son, who looks like he's in his late teens. He looked like he was 16, 17, and he's teaching his son a trade to be a handyman. And he needed to ask me something. He poked his head in my office, and he was like, "Whoa." He's like, "What do you do for a living?" And I told him, "I'm a podcaster." And his eyes lit up, and he was like, "Oh, my son wants to get into that." And I said, "Well, I'll be happy to answer any questions he has." And his son didn't really have any questions, and I was kind of glad. But he liked looking at my stuff. He was a kind of a quiet boy, but really nice. It was nice that he and his father were working together, and he was learning a trade. And he was very interested. He looked around. "Oh yeah." And he kind of like was taking visual inventory, I could tell, but he didn't really ask me any questions, and I didn't want to force it. But if he had said, "Well, how do I get into this, man?" I would have had to be harsh with him, because I don't feel like it's good for me to like. I'll try and explain something to you, and you guys tell me if this fucking makes sense or not, and then I'm gonna leave after I'm done explaining it. So we're gonna start the fucking cigarette timer, okay? The last smoke of the day, because my phone's about to die anyway. I feel like a lot of people that do what I do for a living try and guru you. Do you know what that means? Does that make sense? They try and like, "Hey guys, you can do anything, and here's how you can be a content creator. First, buy this. Second, do that." Right? And it's a very popular kind of thing for content creators to do that, right? And I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I were to treat you like a guru and not tell you the truth of this business. And the truth of this business is, if you don't know somebody, you can't do what I do. And I don't mean you can't physically or mentally do what I do. You might be even smarter and funnier than I am. But I got my foot in the door in 2007. Okay? I met a person who got way bigger than me. And it was my friendship with that person that gave me the opportunity to be on a huge, huge show, right? And so I guess I would say stay on YouTube for a long time, try and make friends with other content creators, hope one of them gets giant and carries you along with them, because that's what happened to me, right? If it had not been for me getting in on the ground floor of YouTube and vlogging and what I'm doing now, and then meeting a person that got fucking huge, um, and then having that person start a giant podcast and then invite me on it and then hire me to be a full-time guy on it, um, how do I give you advice that leads you down that road? And so I tell people, if you want to do YouTube, do it for fun, because you might luck out in that case. Make it a hobby, make it a passion, but don't try and do it as a job. 95% of the people who set out to be YouTubers, vloggers, influencers, Instagrammers, TikTokers, whatever the fuck, right? 95% of the people who have a passion for that fall flat on their face. Probably even more. I'd say it's more like 98. So that's what I would say, right? Yeah. I actually don't think I'm even going to finish this, because my phone just gave me the 10% warning, and that last 10% fucking falls off like a percent every minute. So I'm going to just probably end this. It was cool to talk to you guys. Thank you for chilling. As always, I'm Paul's Ego. Check out my Discord. It's discord.gg/Paul. Pretty easy to remember. I chill over there a lot. I'm heading over there now. Also, check out my main job. Go to Onion Nuggets, check out our clips, and if you like what you see, consider becoming a patron. That's how I make my nut, and it supports me being able to do this for a living. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time.